Hello and welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and I have put a panel of super guests together that made members of the Uncanny X-Men want to join today's show. And of course, I sent Colossus, Cyclops, and Wolverine packing because they couldn't compete with this lineup. First up, a man responsible for the "Why is he yelling" movement. COO, president, and #1 fan of his own fan club.
Yes.
Okay, called the Mooch is Maniacs. Someone who never says no to a free adult beverage after 5 p.m.
Fact.
My very good friend, Mooch. Welcome, dude.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. That's a hell of an entrance. Listen, there may even be a little bit of yelling because I'm so excited with these post-Thanksgiving, today's Black Friday deals. Unbelievable stuff going on. By the way, I like to announce this on the air, and I wanted to break it to Boom now. I know we're all against petitions, but I started a petition up just about 5 minutes ago, guys. I'm actually petitioning for Breakfast at Boom to move to Saturdays because it's a lot of work on Friday morning. So if we can just sign that petition, pass it to a family member. They may not know what we're talking about, but just have them sign it. We want to move this to Saturday. No, I'm only kidding. We're going to have a great show. Outstanding group of people. Slow-mo clowns. The man himself, Alan Walsh. And Enrique is going to be joining us soon. Boom, I'm looking forward to getting into all the topics, buddy. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Enrique, did you finally get your thing situated? All right. Oh, you know what? I'll come back to Enrique. Well, listen, let's do this. Next up, we have the showrunner of the awesome Four Guys with Quarters, a man who never says no to a homemade cannoli, a guy who has the best beard in gaming, and one of the most welcoming dudes on Twitter, my paisan, the Italian Clowns. Welcome, dude.
Hey, what's up, Boom? Pleasure to be here, man. You are the best at intros, let me tell you.
Oh, listen, my wife says that I'm a zaharao, and if you're Spanish, you know what that means. She says I'm a little extra, but you know what? I like to make everyone bigger than they are because you guys are huge personalities, and I appreciate that very much. Next up, creator and showrunner of the incredible Full Throttle Media, where they combine automotive culture with racing games and deliver news, reviews, future stories, and videos on all thing racing. He's also not too shabby in Forza Motorsport 7 and Forza Horizon 4. My very good friend, Alan Walsh. Welcome, dude.
Hey, Boom. It's so good to be on the show again. Thanks for having me. Mooch was saying earlier that, this is like early on a Friday morning. But, the good thing for me in my time zone is it's actually Friday afternoon.
Nice.
So I can have everything done and sorted out and then come on the show. And it's great, So for me, it's at a good time, weirdly enough.
Yeah, well, you know what? Usually you're up at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning for Crossfire. Yes. So I'm glad I can assist on you still having a life after the show.
Exactly.
Next up, he says he's just a gamer who his only allegiance is to quality shooters and RPGs. Panel member of the Scumcast and the BRAP podcast panel member. Someone who has the coolest Twitter picture that is on the low, a warning label explaining that he will lay the smackdown when necessary. My very good friend, Slow-Mo Backslap. Welcome, dude.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Boom, my fellow second wave division agent. All right, I appreciate that. And yes, on the low, it is a warning. Some people don't heed the warning and they get the backhand, but it's all good. It's all game and it's all funny games.
well, listen, we're waiting for Enrique. He's having some mic issues, but you know what? I have to still do his intro for when he finally gets here because it's only fair.
Oh yeah, of course.
Last but certainly not least, we have the showrunner of the awesome Basement Radio Arcade podcast, a show where there's no console war or fanboy nonsense, just insightful and honest gaming talk. I consider him a gentleman gamer, a fantastic host, but more importantly, a very good friend, Enrique, which he will show up later on. Let's get into the topics right away. First of all, I have to say, if you didn't hear, happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a fantastic time with their families and friends yesterday. I know Mooch was saying he ate himself into a coma like most of us did. But you know what? Let's go right into one of topics that that I'm excited to talk about, and that is Gears 5. Okay, word has it from Rod Ferguson himself that Gears will give players something they've never seen before. Now, before everyone who's listening starts booing me, let me explain my stance on this. Gears is as important to the Xbox platform as Halo and the Master Chief is. With that said, though, the franchise has had a total of 5 games in the long-running series. Just like Cory Barlog and the incredible team at Sony Santa Monica did with Kratos and God of War, could this be done to Gears 5? And this, we get some clarification on that. Recently speaking with reporters at XO18 on a panel, Rod Ferguson, head of developer of the Coalition, had this to say. One of the things with Gears 4 was we were a new studio bringing Gears of War back, and we really felt that we had to prove to ourselves that we could make an authentic Gears of War experience. So we didn't want to go crazy, because then the fans would be like, guys, this is not the right team to make a Gears game. What's happening? I don't like what I'm seeing. Now, I want to go to Mooch first on this. And I know he's on mute, and I don't know if he's going to pick up right away. Mooch, are you there, brother? Okay, he stepped away. I'm going to go to slow-mo on this.
All right.
Now, here's the thing. Gears is an important series, not just for gaming, but for Microsoft. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's been talk where the Gears of War is going to be, as fans, we're going to be given something we've never seen before. And of course, a couple of crossfires ago, Mooch and I were nearly booed off the panel. And Alan and Clowns remember this, by the crap gamer who said he wanted his peanut butter and chocolate to stay separate. Okay, he didn't want them mixed. And I understand that to some extent.
Yeah.
But Gears of War is getting a little long in the tooth. And as great as it is, as great as it looks, as great as it plays, I think that there might be something in there that we can add a little change. What are your takeaways on this, dude, where you think that maybe if they made it semi-open world, where it wasn't like, you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey open world, but gave you choices on the map where to go?
I think that would be a great transition for Gears, because I mean, look, the Coalition doing new things with Gears is very encouraging to me. I think that's something that Halo has kind of suffered from with 343, where it hasn't really innovated enough over the years, where you have newer gamers, new people who are, you know, for them Halo, they weren't old enough to play Halo Combat Evolved like us. And so they're newer to gaming, and they're growing up with Call of Duty, and they're growing up with all these other first-person shooters that actually pretty much got the foundation of how they do first-person shooters from Halo. But now it's like, well, what is that? That's kind of old school. I don't really want to play that. They need to start doing more of what other IPs are doing in order to stay current. And so I think Gears, although I don't think Gears is quite there yet, I do like that if they are definitely implementing changes incrementally, like, hey, make it more open world instead of it just being a linear experience where you do a mission, there's a cutscene. You do another mission, there's a cutscene. Whereas it's a little bit more open world. And then we saw in some of the trailers where you see, I think it's Kat, and she's like in some kind of like sail thingamabobber thingy, and and she's sliding on ice. When I saw that, I'm like, I was really thinking, like, I really hope that's like you controlling that and you can go wherever you want. And that's something that if that's what the Coalition is doing, I think that's going to be a great idea, because you're going to always have your diehard Gears fans who want that foundational Gears experience, the cover shooting, the PvP. But in order to continue to keep getting more people in, to keep getting the game becoming more, or in order for it to not become stale, you need to add new things that people don't have in Gears right now, but they enjoy in other games. And so, yeah, if Ferguson is doing that, if the Coalition is doing that, I am 100% for it.
You know, it's funny too. Can I just hop in real quick?
Yes, actually, I was gonna go to you next, Mooch. Actually, because if you recall, and I want to say this again, we were booed off the stage when and I. You remember it?
I remember it like it was 5 minutes ago. I sure do. No one ever forgets when you're booed, and then everyone's like, you know, he was right. I remember that vividly. Yeah, we basically, Boom, not to interrupt your intro to it, but this is the thing. I said a while ago, I said I would welcome with open arms. And I said the only thing I could really say that Microsoft has that could be used in the same reference to God of War is the Gears games. And I said it wouldn't be bad if, like, instead of just that linear approach that we've had for the past 4 games where you're just walking down a corridor and you can't go left or right. There's nowhere to go. You know, it's literally nowhere to go but straight. I said it wouldn't be bad if we had these options to take the adventure off to the left, off to the right. And maybe if you're a linear Gears fan, listen, this doesn't affect you. You could still play the game. You could play God of War linear. You can just go straight through it. But for all of us that kind of wanted a little bit more lore, a little bit more story,
yes.
What is wrong with that? And finally, now you're seeing Gears. And now people are like, oh, of course, Mooch. Naturally, I want to go left and right. Like, you remember, Boom, thank God I have somebody here. These things are recorded, but no one ever plays an old one. Like, the whole thing is that, like, it's a welcome change to be able to expand the game, bring the character more depth, go off on a side mission. Maybe there's parts of the Gears world we're unaware of. Yes. So, listen, and maybe we don't know this. I don't know. I'm still biting off more than I can chew. But realistically, I think that is a wonderful thing. It was refreshing to hear from the Coalition.
Absolutely. And you know what? You really just knocked it out of the park, because my biggest complaint with Gears, and there are not many, the game is, in my opinion, the perfect blend of story, lore, and, you know, and action, and, you know, co-op, all of these things that make a game great. It has. I just want a little bit more, because you see, you know, we're being told, as fans, we're being told a story. Right? We're being told that this happened on this day and you have to save this person from this bad guy. I get all of that. But unless you read the books, unless you read the comics, you have no idea as a fan of the series what the world looks like other than the burnt cars and the broken buildings.
Very
and
true.
this is an opportunity for them to not only build on what they've already put down, but expand the fan base, expand the universe by giving us a little more to do other than go to A, go to B, go to C cutscene.
Well, Boom, that's I'm 100% with you on that. I've read all the books. Yes, I'm a book nerd.
Okay.
And in Gears 3, they introduced a lot of the characters from the books. And I thought the implementation of it was good. It was a good story, but I know people that I played with, remember Gears 3 was 4-player co-op, and I'm playing with some of my friends, and they're just like, who's this dude? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. This guy did blah, blah, blah in the books. And they're just like, yeah, I don't get that. Like, I didn't see that. I didn't play that. But if you have a kind of a little bit of an open world in Gears 5, you can have side quests where you can choose to go do those side quests. And then you can introduce some more of these characters and then have some of those stories and, kind of interweave then where you can actually seamlessly have these characters becoming introduced in the actual games and not necessarily just having them in the books and then just kind of throwing them into a game and then kind of losing some people because they're like, I don't know who this dude is, and everyone's talking to him like they got a history.
Yes.
And you don't know what that history is because you didn't see it or read it. And this, it kind of makes sure that everyone stays as the book readers as well as just the game players are all on the same page.
And I'm not going to ruin anything for anybody who hasn't played Gears 4 yet. But if you haven't played Gears 4 yet, earmuffs, okay? But at the end there, where you have the necklace being shown, right? And then all of a sudden, everyone was like, "Oh my God, right. That means that Kate's blah blah blah," right? And I'm not going to fill in the blank for those, but I'm sitting there and I was like what just Slow-Mo said. I looked left and right in the room. I'm like, what's that necklace mean? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I had the same thing. You know
what I mean, Alan? I'm like, what's going on?
And I felt embarrassed because I'm like,
so did I.
Does this mean I'm not paying attention to the game? Have I lost track of something? I thought it was a me issue.
I felt like myself and everybody else that felt that way. If you had a Gears poster, you had to take it down at that point in your house.
I got sent the custom 1S for Gears from Microsoft. I thought, well, I better pack this thing and send it back.
Yeah, apparently I don't know shit. Like, I mean, I'm sitting there, and then finally I wrote to somebody, and they were, I know someone like Slow-Mo that I know that reads all the books, has all the stuff, knows all the lore. And then they told me, and I'm like, well, that makes sense, but I sure as hell would have, like, I didn't know. And, like, now imagine if we could have made a left-hand turn in Gears 4 and got a little bit more history of what that medallion meant, right? Then at the end of that may have meant nothing to me 2.5 hours into the game, but then all of a sudden I tie it and I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. But no, what do? We take a straight line, and it's not just to pick on Gears, because like other Zik was saying in the chat, the old God of Wars were very linear.
Yes.
So I'm not saying that this is a new world we're stepping into, folks. This is a new world in gaming, and I'm very excited to see that the look and the feel of what Halo Infinite. Okay, now just with the new engine, but the way 343 wants to take Halo looks different and refreshing. And the Coalition has been very vocal, and they're taking Gears and they're going to make it refreshing and different. For me, being an Xbox fan, I got to be honest with you. That's what I kind of wanted to see. Because if Gears 5 was just another, let's just pick up from where we left off and walk straight, well, that's why you kind of lose a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, God of War wouldn't have been such the greatest game of all time this year for me if it was just walk straight down. It wouldn't. I love that it gave me the options, and I'm so excited for Gears now because of these comments by the Coalition.
Absolutely. And Alan, I want to go to you, dude. I mean, listen, you have an inside ear for big games like Forza, but you know what? You also have met a lot of these, higher echelon people in Microsoft. Do you think that them taking this route with games like Gears, games like Halo, more specifically, of course, because we're on the topic of Gears, is important for the series lasting longer than just the next one coming out?
Yeah, I think they need to modernize it. If you look at Halo Infinite, it seems like a very different approach to Halo. They're rebuilding the engine. They seem to be going down a very different route. They're using almost like the classic style of Halo, but they're trying to deliver something new, innovative, and different. I think that's kind of what Gears of War needs to do. Gears of War 4, as much as I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the campaign quite a lot, it is very linear. It is very traditional Gears of War. It's not risky at all. And as Mooch was saying, there is a lot of blanks left unfilled that you kind of have to go online afterwards and try and find out for yourself what everything meant, especially the ending. And I think for Gears 5, something less linear, more open world, I think would help a lot there, especially for me, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not massively into Gears of War multiplayer. I'm not into the multiplayer of Gears either. And, to have, an open world campaign experience you can play with your friends, I think that would help the series a lot, especially, again, there are more people out there who are like me, who like the campaign of Gears, who play Gears for the campaign, but couldn't really give a toss about the versus multiplayer, because I find it so boring and aggravating. I'm just not massively into it. So yeah, I think there's definitely room for improvement here. And this is a game that's shipping at the end of next year. They've been working on it now since the end of 2016, and as they've said, they want to take more risks. And I think they have to. I think they need something kind of new and different. Halo 5 shipped with Warzone, which at the time was quite different, quite unique. And I think Gears of War needs some headlining feature that they can go out there and say, we have this in our game. No one else has this. This is what sells the game. This is what's going to sell our console bundles later in the year. They need that, especially because, let's be real here. We're not sure of the exclusive lineup for 2019 in terms of the end of the year. This could be, if there's no Forza game next year, this could be their only exclusive. And they need to make sure they have something headlining so they can grab the attention of as many people as possible, even people who haven't played Gears before. That's also important. You got to think about the way the gaming audience is changing. 2006, when Gears of War 1 first released as kind of that showcase game for 360, it's a very different era to now. A lot of things have changed. And Gears of War 4, let's be real here, they've all been quite similar, all the games. They've all followed the same path as the first Gears of War. They've all been the kind of same idea. So I think now in 2019, that's the time to, you know, change things up and really have the coalition put their stamp on it and say, this is our game, this is our franchise, this is what we're doing to really take advantage of Xbox One and Xbox Live.
Nice. Well, listen, that was definitely well said. Clowns, I want to go to you, dude. Okay. Now, obviously, we know what makes a good, strong game is fantastic storytelling, co-op multiplayer, and of course, graphics to melt your eyeballs. And we know we're going to get this with Gears 5. But what we didn't know is what kind of a Gears 5 we're going to get. Was it going to be Gears 4.5 or something new? What do you think they need to do? And are you okay with them opening the world a little bit? Not making a total open world, but opening the door just a little bit.
You know, I'm probably the only one on the panel that didn't like the previous Gears. I love Gears of War 4, though. I thought that was the best one in the whole series. So I think
What?
Yeah, I didn't like
Revelation, folks.
I didn't like that, you know, straight to the point, just shoot stuff. I want like a story. I want a real deep story. I want great graphics. I want to go off the beaten path. I want to explore, pick up collectibles. I want to look at the sun, you know, and take some pictures. And I'm not really big on the multiplayer either. Just not a big fan of the roll and chainsaw style. So I think that what Coalition's doing and changing the franchise up a little bit is a great thing for people like me that want to find a foot in there, you know, like want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing it good. I think it's going to be great.
Clowns, and you know, Clowns, I enjoyed 4, but the one thing about 4 that I said, and I've said it on Crossfire a bunch of times back in the day, is 4 was very safe. Now, in defense of the Coalition, okay, it was safe because, first of all, you're taking some of their roots, like the Rod Fergusons and the groups that they had that were with the Epic Games folks. But then you had a lot of new people come on board. Yes. And I think 4 was, I think they basically said, let's make a continuation. Let's make a game that's safe but great. And let's get everybody tied into the Gears world, and everybody fed into it. And Rod's such a great leader that he had a team assemble around him, some new, some veteran, and they made it an outstanding game. Now that they've got this team assembled and they're all in on Gears, now they can be creative. And I think that was the whole intent. I mean, there was articles on this. So I think now you're going to start to see that creative freedom. I thought that their multiplayer was a lot of fun in 4. I put a lot of time into that. I do understand where Clowns is coming from, but if that's not your bag, that's just not your bag. That's the style of that game. So that's not something that you can really say, well, Clowns fell out of love with it. If you didn't like 4's multiplayer, you didn't really like 3, 2, and 1. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yes.
It's all the same thing. So now they got a chance to maybe make some new game modes, this and that. But realistically, I would expect to see a drastic, if not partially drastic, change on the single player. But I don't think you're going to see, you may see new game modes, but I don't think you're going to see a drastic change in the multiplayer because it's a competitive thing. It's in the esports world. I don't think you're going to see a huge change. So, Clowns, I think moving forward, you may truly enjoy the changes that they make on the single player, but I don't know if you'll ever come around to dig in the multiplayer if you don't like it currently.
Man, I hope they make a little bit of change for someone like me, because I do want to get on there with like Inferno and Assassin. When they're playing it, they sound like they're enjoying it, and there I am. I'm like, oh man, duck and roll, chainsaw, duck and roll, chainsaw.
Hey, speaking of Gears of War, can someone just tell me real quick, is Gears of War Tactics meant to be coming to Xbox One or not?
Yes. Yeah,
it is.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I know there's one of them, Gears of War Pop. I think is that the mobile only one.
That's the mobile one. Yeah, but I believe that XO18 during that particular panel, Rod Ferguson himself said that Gears Tactics would be coming to the Xbox One platform, which is good for me because I was pissed.
That explains why my local GameStop is taking pre-orders for it. Sorry.
Okay.
I was just genuinely wondering.
No, that's great. Enrique, welcome, my friend. I know you were having some serious difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. It's my computer's having a little bit of a Thanksgiving hangover, I guess.
You know what it was? It just wanted to give you a hard time. But I want to say thank you for being here. I gave you a massive, intro proper of your status, and you can check it out on the replay because it was actually kind of funny. But I want to get your take on this. You know, like I was saying in the opening, and it wasn't just Crap Gamer that booed us off the stage, me and Mooch. It was a lot of people in the chat as well. We got a big rounding applause of boos when we said make Gears open world. Now here's the thing. I said then, and I'm going to say it again. Take it easy. Walk back from the edge. Let me close the window. Come on in. It's warm in here. I got vino for you if you want. Okay. The thing is this: Gears has had 5 games, and they've all been the same. The multiplayer, you don't have to touch. Everyone loves the multiplayer. People have put thousands and thousands of hours of just chainsawing each other, and they love it. You know what? It's a great. They have horde mode. They have all these different modes that people enjoy. They don't have to touch that. But you got to also remember that 50%, and I say 50% of Gears is single player. That's where we start from. We don't end at single player. We start at single player and then work our way into multiplayer. They need to open the door a little bit, give us a little bit more lore, give us a more story, let us look at the world. And Rod Ferguson said that they're going to do this. What are your takes on that? And are you okay with them opening the world a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them, like, you know, it being like a semi-open world, kind of like a God of War type situation.
Yes.
I do think they should kill off Marcus Phoenix. I think that should happen, like, as soon as the opening credits happen.
No!
Yes! I think, stop it, Enrique. Come on.
I can hear the booze already. I can hear
The booze again.
Here come the booze. No, I mean, I know that's not a popular opinion, but why not? I mean, just hand the franchise over to his son, and I forget the female protagonist in the game.
Oh, Cat.
Cat, yeah. I mean, there's something there with her background, her story. Let's explore that a little bit more, and you know, kill off Marcus and open up the game a little bit. Take a creative chance with the level design, storytelling, multiplayer. I think you just keep the same because it's Gears. You know, I don't think you.
Yeah, you don't have to fix that. I think that the multiplayer, it could get some tweaking.
I like where Enrique is going with this. I like your thought. The only thing where I gotta say not Marcus is because right. Here's the reason I think we gotta just kind of regroup here. Enrique, look what happened with other titles that are beloved. Okay. When Nathan Drake was not in the DLC that came out, okay, after Uncharted 4, sales and just lore just kind of dropped. Look at what happened when you put Locke in the dominant role and you took Chief out. Not even killing these guys off, but just moved them to the side a little. You saw what happened with Halo 5's interest, the story, it just disappeared. It's just, to me personally, there's a few iconic folks that we have. Okay. I mean, even like the Luke Skywalker and things like that, where like you want to bring these people back. The reason so many people rebelled against the whole, no pun intended, latest Star Wars movie is because there's a possibility Luke's, he passed on. It kills the genre. It kills a part of the brand. What I'm concerned with is James and Kate, which, by the way, sound like they're an after-school special movie instead of an actual hero duo. Right? Let's tune in for Gears 5, where James and Kate find out if drugs are okay after school. It's like, it's just, for me personally, I think we need Marcus to be there, if not necessarily as the role, the lead character, as a guidance where they continuously go back to him as a guru. You know what I mean? So losing Marcus to me is almost like putting a nail in the coffin for Gears. I think he needs to be there in some way, shape, form, or another. I like where you're going with this. There's other iconic things that are kind of, they don't hold the weight. But I think myself personally, Marcus having the small involvement he did in Gears 4, it did take me a little bit out of the excitement I usually had for the brand. And that goes for Nathan Drake. It goes for any of the great, like when Nathan's not around and they're like, that's why if they're not going to do any more Uncharted, you know what I say? Fine, then don't. But I don't want to play as Nathan's nephew. You know what I mean? Like
the last Uncharted, I forget with the 2 female protagonists. I forget their names too.
Right.
That was actually a really good game.
It was. I played it. I played it to the nth degree.
Yes.
I beat it. I loved it, Enrique. But it wasn't. But it didn't. But it felt like a different game.
Yeah, I mean, but
what do you think?
I was okay with that. I mean, it did feel like a different game, but it still had the DNA of Uncharted, and so it wasn't like a complete. Even though Nathan wasn't there, Actually liked the fact that he was there. I enjoyed kind of the conversation and the banter back and forth with excuse me, with both those characters.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice welcome change from the franchise. So
what's interesting about it too is, and it goes for any of them, but me and Enrique both are kind of having, and I sense it in your voice, Enrique, and same thing for me. I played the game. I probably played it for about 15 hours, right? I beat it, and I enjoyed it, but I don't remember the protagonists' names. And the reason, and this goes back to my point, it didn't engulf us enough to even remember that. And that's the thing, you know, it's like I have to stop and think about what their names were moving forward. Now I know somebody who's heavily into the Uncharted franchise would turn around and go, "Oh, that's easy, Mooch. It's this." Okay, great. But for me, I've played Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3. I've beaten them all, Uncharted 4, and now I've played this Lost Legacy. And to say that I remember, you know, you don't even remember the protagonist's names moving forward. That's what I'm saying. I think that game, it calls for in the Sully combination with Nathan Drake. Just, man, they struck gold. They absolutely struck gold. And I felt the same way with Marcus and Dom. And then when Dom left, I felt like the way when Shane died off in season 2 of Walking Dead. I'm like, how are you going to do this? Right? But somehow Rick carried the weight, and Marcus did it too. So it is, you know, shout out to Hoppy Wide in the chat. He goes, "Did I miss any yelling?" No, you're right on time. But yeah, to be honest with you, that's my only thing. I think Enrique makes a good point that yes, the world, the environment, I don't want to lose any of these great worlds that they've created, but sometimes losing that main protagonist. And it's weird, isn't it, guys? Because they can do this in maybe certain movies, but in video games, it's tough. You really do form that bond with the protagonist.
Because you spend so much time with them. Like, you think about a movie only lasts, what, 90 minutes, 2 hours? A game, you could be spending... You're spending a long time with that person. You really get to know them, and you get to know the characters of the game, and you become attached to it. I think that's why games as well, for most people, they generate a lot more emotion than a film would. Because at the end of the day, with a film, you go to the theater, you're there for 90 minutes, 2 hours, and that's it. You're gone again. Whereas with a game, you're investing into that every night for maybe weeks. You know?
Yeah. You know, I think I agree with you, Mooch. I think I don't believe you should kill off Marcus. I actually think that you should create compelling characters enough that where people are comfortable with Marcus taking the background, and they really want to see more from these newer characters.
Absolutely.
When you create,
maybe break his legs.
Maybe. You know, but you know what? I got an idea. I actually just popped into my head while we were talking about it, and this actually makes sense. All right. So obviously, we know that the team wants to tell a story about these 3 younger characters, and I absolutely get that. But you see, this opens the door for those side quests. You see, Marcus is going to be involved in this game, but they want to transition over to a younger group. I get it. But there's still 3 members of the original, and 4, technically, if you count a new or an older Carmine, right, that's going to be in there. They could open up different missions on this map that says, okay, this mission is going to be with Coltrane, right? This mission is going to be with, with Marcus. This is where the storytelling could be, where we're going to be getting the main story through the young kids, but we're going to get some side stories that eventually warp into the main story with the older guys. I think that satisfies all the fan base.
You know what's funny, Boom? I like where you're going. I really do. And I think as far as a novel, literally, or a writing of some sort of scripture, that kind of works. But what happens with video games, you guys are all aware of this. You remember the early day X-Men games where you'd be able to play as Gambit, then you were Wolverine, then you were Cyclops. I liked it sometimes when you just have an Origins game, you know what I mean, where you're just playing through as one character. I don't know if necessarily venturing off the beaten path to play as Coltrane and then to play as a memory of Dom and what happens is it becomes a hodgepodge. And the one thing we have learned over the years is a lot of these game developers and writers, you know, as talented as they are, and I think they're fantastic. They do what I can't do. They're also not writing for the Academy Awards. So sometimes when you have like 5 subplots, you're going to lose people. So I don't know if that's necessarily. I was thinking something else when Slow-Mo was just saying that. Listen, they did it with Yoda. If you look at back at, and I hate to keep going, I'm not even that much of a Star Wars nerd, but like the thing about it is if you look at the prequels, all right, or if you happen to be a book nerd and you really enjoy Star Wars lore, and you go back, the dominance that was Yoda as the master, and he taught this and that and the other. Then later on, when you look at episodes 4, 5, and 6, he's literally just this guru, okay? And he becomes something where you go to him for knowledge and this and that. And that's what I think you should take when you want to start to move on past what we know as the Gears and the Halos, all right, the Uncharted's. When you start to get into that kind of world and you want to move on, you want to still have your senior leadership, make them like this guru or this thing you constantly go back to. And I thought they did a good job with that in 4 when they went to go find Marcus, and he was this older guy who was kind of like, I'm out of it. I'm done. But yet he was consoling his son, telling his son what he's doing wrong. That's the kind of stuff where you can build off of that. And then what you can do is you can have 2 different variations. You could still maybe have a Marcus adventure with Gears, but this is what I was thinking. Instead of the side quests that go off on a tangent, why not make another Gears game completely and utterly separate from Gears of War, Gears of something else. And then you take on a different branch and you go down and explore James or Kate, etc. To take the franchise and just kill off the main guy, I mean, it's a hard thing to gain interest when you have all these very, very hardcore fan base built up over decades. It's just tough.
I absolutely agree. Well, listen, first of all, I got to say thank you to my wife, Jay Rivera, with the $20 super chat. She's such a supporter. It's unbelievable. She says, good morning, everyone. Happy belated Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a great day. Thank you for the continued support of Mr. Boomstick. She is truly thankful. And you know what? I do appreciate all the support, especially hers, because I could not do what I do without her backing me. But you know what? I want to segue into the next topic, because we spent 42 minutes on this one, and you know what? It was a good one to talk about. A lot of talking points, a lot of panel members. Gears of War creator Cliff Belinsky vows never to make another game. Now, at this time, it's unclear if he's just angry or it's true. Now, I have a little bit of an update. Cliff Belinsky posted another message on Facebook, which detailed why he doesn't want to make another game. Cliffy B says that the high cost of development and unrealistic expectations have made it impossible for him to make another title. Now, here's my question to the panel. Is this karma? And that's, I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny here. That is the question that I have for everyone. There's no doubt he has talent, but it appears without the backing of Microsoft or an Epic Games, proved to be too great a hurdle for him to leap. But it also doesn't help that when you shit on your fan base on a regular basis publicly on Twitter, going after fans when they're questioning you, doesn't make for good business. Mooch, I have to, I'm sorry, Alan, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, this is a topic I've been almost raring to get going on, because it doesn't, you look back at 2008 when they were about to launch Gears of War 2. And he's like poking a load of fun at the PC fanboy, at the PC fan base, and talking about piracy and all of this stuff. And then you fast forward a few years later, it was on the Game Awards some year, I can't remember which year exactly, and he's saying, oh, I'm so sorry to the PC fans, that, but they can't hold this over me. I'm fully PC master race now. We're going to do Lawbreakers on PC, and it's going to be great. And then after that at E3, another few years after, he's complaining about the Xbox fanboys. He's like, I got all these fanboys on Twitter. They got the M's in their names. They're all complaining at me, and it's ridiculous. He says business is business. I might have made games for Xbox, but now I'm making a game for PlayStation and PC because it's, where I'm going to make my money. I have to pay my staff. He's going on about all this, but he has such a huge ego.
Yes, it's unbelievable. Yes,
it is unbelievable. And then he ships Lawbreakers, and it doesn't do well. And there's so many reasons for it, because A, the people who wanted it the most, which were Xbox fans, didn't get it. And then when it was on PC and PS4, the game wasn't supported very well. A lot of hardcore fans of that game were asking for LAN support and were asking for peer-to-peer servers. and they didn't get that. And it meant when Epic turned, well, not Epic, but his studio, when they turned off
Boss Key
Key.
Studios,
when they eventually shut down and had to close the servers for Lawbreakers, it meant the people who bought it couldn't play it anymore. They couldn't play it anymore because there was no peer-to-peer servers, despite fans asking for it a lot. And it just, I think Karma did catch up with him.
There's no doubt. You can't slap your fan base in the face.
You can't treat a fan base that badly. And like, I still, kind of like the guy in that, he did, he is one of the big names from Gears of War back in the day and stuff. And I respect the work he's done, but it's a little bit like Sean Murray, you shouldn't allow him to talk to the public that often.
Yes.
Keep him making games. Keep him focused on that. Let someone else do the talking. I think that's the thing when it comes to him.
I love the end part of what you said there, Alan. And if everyone can just, if the panel members will step out of their YouTube shoes and everybody listening, step out of the gamer shoes and think about when you go to work, wherever you work, it doesn't matter. There's certain people that you say in your office, and it may be you, but there's people in your office that you go, I'm really glad that person's taking the podium. I'm really glad that person's our representative. I'm really glad that person's our speaker. And then but that person who's the speaker is also saying to other people in the room, I'm really glad so-and-so is our developer. I'm glad that person is, because we all have a unique trait. We all have a specialty. Okay.
Exactly.
And the thing about this gentleman here is that he was doing the developing and the talking. Now, can that be done? Absolutely. Should it be done by all? Probably not.
No.
And that's the thing where I actually like the Sean Murray thing, but I was going to take it a different way, Alan. Sean Murray came out. He did that first publicity tour, if you will, for No Man's Sky ages ago. And we all know what the repercussion was. The game wasn't what it was supposed to be. They kind of preached what it wasn't. I don't think that was all on Sean Murray. I think Sony had a lot to do with that because they wanted to get that game out.
Yes.
So he was doing what he was kind of told to do. But what Sean Murray did after that was what I say, bravo. And that's why I supported him on No Man's Sky. Not because it came to Xbox, but because even if it was on, even the next update, if the next update, which, the No Man's Sky Next, if that was only available on PlayStation, I would have bought it. Because to be honest with you, he stayed quiet through all of the mudslinging. He kept his mouth shut. And when he came back, he was humble. He was proud.
Yep.
And he only discussed the game as a developer, not as a marketing salesman. Yeah. And I said, you know what? The man went in, he righted the ship. He learned his lesson, and you know what? Sean Murray should be a staple for people to learn something. An outstanding individual, I might add. Where Cliffy, on the other hand, he makes a great game. He's very, very kind of, what's the word you want to look there? He's very arrogant about it.
Yes.
Then after the game is just running high, he's arrogant in the news. Then he makes a game and he's arrogant. He's like, you better play my game because I'm me. And it's like, all right. So then he does all these things, and you keep going all the way down the path. And it's just arrogance, never humble. We all got to kind of step back and be humble for a moment and enjoy the reason that we're actually in the seat we're in, So that's where I think Cliffy never righted the ship. And that's why when I saw that information, I said, I tweeted it out. I think Slow-Mo liked it too on Twitter. I said, we'll survive, ... We're going to make it.
Listen, real quick before I get to the rest of the panel, two big shout outs. First of all, Yo by Den Clown says peace, love, and life to DBG and Mooch. I see you, brother. I'm at work. Game hard. And excuse me. And the big bomb by Al Hogan, $25 super chat. Boom, my brother in blue. Love your show. Listening to you live while I'm on patrol. Much love, dude. Let me tell you something.
That's awesome.
When I hear that, you don't understand how that makes me feel. Obviously, I was a New York City police officer for 21 years. And unfortunately, due to a spinal cord injury, my career was cut short. And I say short because I did over 20. So I got my pension. But because I loved doing it, I didn't want to stop. And I had to. So seeing other guys out there still doing the job, serving the people, and listening to the show, it's just amazing. It really does give me goosebumps. But you know what, Slow-Mo, I know that Mooch was talking about you and about this particular tweet. First of all, we know that Cliff Belinsky publicly compared himself as the Tony Stark of gaming. And listen, first of all, Tony Stark is a fictional character and he's an asshole. That's the bottom line. Okay, he is in the MCU and he is in the comic books. We know that he's an a-hole, but do you really have to be that have that persona to be great in this industry? And there's plenty of people. You take a guy like Barlog, for instance. That guy is as humble as pie. He's a gentleman to talk to. He's actually answered me on Twitter. You know, and this is a head guy of a gigantic studio.
Yep.
But Cliffy B's not like that. And it looks like all of his shenanigans has basically, he got the pie in the face. What are your takes on this?
Oh man, Cliffy B. Okay, so look, I'm gonna keep it real, and I know this for people who are fans of Cliffy, this might rub them the wrong way. But look, Cliffy just wants attention.
Yep.
That's why he's on Twitter saying the kind of things he says. He knows if he goes out and says, "Oh, I'm never gonna make another game again. It's too much. I'm retired permanently." You already said you were retired back in April. Why are you telling us that you're retired again? We get it. You said you were retired, so bye. Like, why are you still, talking about, hey, I'm never making games again? Yeah, we know that. You just said that already. So
it's so true.
So I mean, it's just like he just wants attention, and I'm look, as great as he was in working on the Gears franchise, I am a little underwhelmed with his stuff with Boss Key. I agree with Mooch, and I agree before I think Alan was also saying that he does not need to be the guy on the front man. He's too polarizing. He needed a community manager.
Yep.
He needed someone who could come in, say all the great talking points about what their game is. Get goals, not put aim in your company in a bad light, and then let if he just data person is in the background making the game. Lawbreakers, from what I heard, because I was thinking about getting on PlayStation, and I realized we're playing it at launch, and I said, you know what, I think. But it's interesting because it's like I'm like, wow, that looks a lot like Overwatch. And who played it said it doesn't play like Overwatch. I'm like, but that's it's the same thing that kind of happened Gearbox with Battleborn. Battleborn was considered like too much like Overwatch.
Yes.
It played nothing like Overwatch, but that doesn't change the fact that was the perception, and people didn't buy Battleborn because they said they like Blizzard and they're going to get Overwatch. And so that's what happened to the Lawbreakers. It's unfair, but it is what it is. It's how the industry works. And let's keep it real about Radical Heights. Right after that was a straight up Fortnite. It was a Fortnite ripoff. He tried to get back and maybe save his studio and ride this battle royale wave. It did not work. And so, if you're anything that's super innovative, if you're not branching out on your own, and I know he shut down Boss Key, put out all this stuff. This is stuff that we got that never got approved. We went to Microsoft for this, and it looked like kind of like a Scalebound kind of game. Hey, I get it. You tried to do something different. It didn't work out, but if you're gonna retire, just really retire. Like I agree. I don't want to see you.
Don't fake retire.
Don't fake retire. Just go. Just go. It's fine.
I mean, I like what Slow-Mo just said at the end too. And Boom, maybe you can add to this because you've mentioned it yourself. You with honor, you retired from the force, but that doesn't mean you go up and hang out with the sergeant every day. And you're like, "You want me to file that? I can take this. No, why don't you take a break? I'll handle the desk." You're like, "No, you're retired, right? You're not showing up at the precinct after this show."
No.
I mean, that's why? Because those people have work to do. And we had people that retired in our office. They're gone. Like you said, when you retire, they're gone. Like maybe they come back for the Christmas party.
Or get lucky. You'll get lucky enough to get a postcard. Say, here's a picture of me sitting, drinking Mai Tais on the beach. Enjoy
that's retirement.
Enjoy the freezing weather.
And I mean, the thing about it is this, just to add one more thing, because I really do want to hear what Enrique and Clown's got to say. I think that he really enjoys the limelight, right? He enjoys more of the social scene than the gaming world. And that's fine. But my only thing is if that's what you truly enjoy and you miss that, and like Slow-Mo said, you're going to make 2 announcements that you're retiring, why don't you just try doing this? Take 6 months, completely disappear. Then come back and actually be kind. Actually say something, come back and maybe this is what I said. I said this a while ago. This is what I would do if I was Cliff. I'd pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, Rod, listen, don't want any attention. Don't mention it. I don't even want to talk about it. Of course, Microsoft has to approve, but behind the scenes, let me kind of, come on board with the coalition and work with you because I have the money, I have the time. He doesn't need that. Let me get back to my roots. And then all of a sudden, how amazing would it be? How amazing would it be 6 months after Cliffy's just been working on, behind the scenes, coding, working, instructing, that Rod comes out and goes, I want to let everybody know that someone that's been helping us tremendously and brought his passion back to something that brought him to the premier forefront of gaming. Cliff Belinsky, everybody, is with the coalition. He's come on and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you will see people
turn around
clapping,
immediately, yes.
lighting matches. People will faint in the aisle. And Cliff becomes an immediate hero because he went back to what made him great.
Yes.
And that's what I said. I said, that's what I would do. If I was him, I would say, Rod, I don't want any attention. Don't bring it up. Let me come and work on this on the game with you guys, even if it's just as literally as a
coder,
coder, or just as a what do you call it there when you have someone that just helps you out. You know what I mean? Just
the consultant.
Consultant. The word was not coming to me. A consultant. It's a huge deal since he was there from day one. I think it would be tremendous for Cliffy's social appeal, and you know what? I think it would just be overall healthy for him to get back into the franchise he created.
I don't think I could have said it any better, but I want to hear from Clowns. Clowns.
Man.
What are your takes on this? I mean, look, Cliffy B, he likes to think of himself as this big socialite kind of a person. And, he steps on dicks on a regular basis. And then he just proves that he can be a big one, and not in a good way. What are your takeaways from his failings as the company leader? And do you agree with what Mooch is saying? Get him back into what made him who he is secretly, and then drop a big announcements right before Gears launches.
See, the problem I think with Cliffy B is that when he worked for Epic, because he did a lot for the Gears of War franchise, they pat him on the back, kind of let him do anything he wanted to do. And I think he's got this air of egomania about himself, and I think he just needs to come down from that cloud a little bit and look in the mirror, because his ego is kind of what's destroying him. It's he just throws stuff at people and expects to still be loved like he's some king or some god, and he's not. He's a human, and he's talented, but he's not more special than anybody else, and he thinks he is. He just needs to come off his high horse, and if he goes and works for Rod or any other studio, they need to put him in a little corner, with a door, and lock the door so he can't interact with anybody. This is your job. This is what you do. And don't seek attention. Just sit here, do your job. At the end of the day, we'll say good job and go home. And he just needs to be shot back down to be a normal person again.
Dude, you know what? You're absolutely right. Being humble usually pays off in the end. But you know what? Great points, Clowns. Enrique, let's get your take on this. Obviously you run a show, so you obviously are always keeping your ear to the floor, because as a host, you have to kind of hit on what's hot. And this is a hot topic for a lot of reasons. Some worse than others. You know what I'm saying? Especially Slomo was saying that he's multiply publicly retired. Whatever. It's silly. But do you think that this kind of I don't want to keep saying your karma. I mean, do you think that this is the universe paying him back for kind of just being an a-hole towards the fans?
I mean, maybe he does need a dose of humble pie. I mean, I don't think there's any disagreeing in there. He needs to be humbled. I mean, and oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, this is a guy whose legacy goes back to Unreal Tournament, and then Gears, and so to see this, it's kind of it's a little disappointing and sad in some ways as a fan of the gaming industry. Well, I've always known that he's been a little bit of a show off. I mean, come on, the guy, if you follow his Twitter feed, he's consistently putting, tweets out of his, pictures of his pool and his mansion, his yellow Lamborghini, his wife, which I don't blame him with his wife, his master bedroom. I know he's taking pictures of his master bedroom.
Yeah.
I mean, so the guy's really, clearly he's a little narcissistic. And has a big ego, but he just needs some humble pie. And I think, you guys bring up a great point. Maybe go back to the coalition and maybe get back to his roots and, work with Rod Ferguson. He's worked with him before. Maybe that gives him a little bit dose of reality. And brings him back to earth, because I don't. It's interesting. Like, he definitely wants attention, because, like Slow-Mo said, he's tweeted out like twice that he's retired. But I'm not also convinced that he's necessarily done making video games. I mean, the guy, he's got to earn a living. And I just don't see him not making video games, not being talked about in the video game industry. I think for his ego, that would be too hard for him to just keep quiet and not work on some kind of project. So I don't think this is the last we heard of Cliffy B. I could definitely see him coming back. I don't know if he'll go back and make his own studio. I don't think that'll happen again, but I definitely see him working on some kind of project with another studio sometime in the future.
It's definitely a consultant job might be in the cards, because listen, what do I know about making a game? I know shit. I know how to go to the store, pay my $60 and bring it home or download it directly. So I don't know anything, but gaming is, to make games is expensive, and there's a lot of risk. And that's why a lot of these smaller companies in recent weeks, months, and this particular year signed on with Microsoft, because a lot of these smaller companies were choking.
Yeah.
Right?
And Excel talked about that recently.
Yes, they actually did. That's a great point. That's a perfect example. That's a great point. They were at the head guy was considering retirement. And what did he say in the article? Since Microsoft stepped in and bought us, I'm out of retirement. I'm ready to make good games. We got something in the works. Everyone's going to love it. So it's making games is expensive, but when you have and this is common sense. I don't know why he didn't get this. When you have a company that's small and you need the help of the people, the common folk, the people who don't have the mansions and the 8 bedrooms and the 6 Lamborghinis like me, you need these people to buy your game. So why shit on them? That's the question. And I don't understand why there was some sort of some sort of dysfunction in the brain waves to say, I need them to continue to make my games. Why treat people like dirt? Again, it's karma, but it is what it is. Real quick, I have to pay the bills. The big $10 super chat by Zenchi. He says, "Much love, family. Happy Thanksgiving. Spread the love, not the hate. We resemble who we assemble. Let's get on some Battlefield tonight. We'll show what a true squad is able to put down." That is awesome. Well said, dude. But you know what? I want to go on to the next topic, and I know Mooch right away is liking this one. The rumor out of Reset Era is that Until Dawn 2 is in development for the PlayStation 4. And all I can say is, what the hell took so long? Okay. Now, this story I pulled from Game Rant, and they have to say this. Until Dawn is arguably one of the better horror games of this generation, and there's no doubt, and Mooch will agree with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, we had Rush of Blood VR, which was really good. Okay. It wasn't your traditional, Until Dawn game that I would want. I want the proper part 2. But Supermassive Games executive director Pete Samuels said the studio still has exclusive titles in the works for the PlayStation, and according to the post on Reset Era, this opens to a lot of speculation as to what the games could be. Now, we know what Supermassive is able to do. So, Mooch, I want to go to you on this. First of all, in my opinion, it's not just this particular generation. It's probably one of the better horror games ever released. I thought it was campy. It was very Friday the 13th-ish, if you will. It had all the scares. It had the jock. It had the pretty girl. It had the girl, the shy girl. It just had everything, because we grew up in the 80s. Like, where a lot of guys on this panel were a little older, so we remember going to see Friday the 13th Part 3 and put on those paper 3D glasses to watch the axe fly across the screen. What are your takes on this, and does the PlayStation 4 need this game?
Well, I don't know if it needs it. It's doing fine without it, but I think that, and I'm a latecomer till Until Dawn. Just recently played it through the first time. I'm halfway through the second playthrough, and here we have all these great games right now. We have so many great games out right now that it just came out starting in September all the way through the holiday season. And here I am every other night going back and playing Until Dawn. Here's the thing, and I'm one of the first ones. So, right, I got my right hand in the air, I swear. I actually thought I was one of the ones that said Until Yawn back in the day. There's a few people in the chat saying it. I did. Because here's the thing. You have to remember, when we were going into this generation and leaving last generation, I was leaving as a dude bro. Okay, I came into this generation being like, I just wanted first-person shooters, right? That's what I played. I didn't care if it was Homefront. I didn't care what it was. It went from everything from Call of Duty to Homefront to Halo to Gears to this and that. I wanted shooters. And then I was like, wait a minute. This generation, because we opened up this generation with such a lackluster of support of games on both sides, what took over? We all know the magic word. It was indies. And the indies kind of had their limelight. Now, did they get 6 months? No. Did they get 12 months? No. The indie limelight went about 18 months. Okay. They had such a stretch because it was remasters of the AAAs and indies. So in that time, I myself personally never would have thought I would have fell into it, but because so much time elapsed, I started playing some of these indies. And a lot of these indie games were, I'm going to say, walking or story simulators, okay? And we all kind of, whether you liked Until Dawn or you liked Telltale or you liked Journey or you liked any of these other types of games, okay? There was a lot of these other games that came out and people started to get into it. People started liking, and now I'm forgetting the one gentleman's name there, but like The Witness. There started being these puzzle walking types of games. And I said, you know what? Wait a minute. There's too many of these coming out for me to ignore them all. So I started playing them. I started getting into some of them. And then I said, you know what? Let me, like you just said, great intro into the game, Boom. I love the 80s, 90s jump horror movies. And this game really has that. It's got the whole 1980s feel of horror telling in a game. So myself personally, when I saw that maybe Until Dawn would be Until Dawn 2 would be coming out, I say bravo. I say bring it on. Is this game for everybody? No, I wouldn't sit here and try to talk the panel into it. But all I can tell you is there's some nights, and you guys know this, we game a lot, dude. I try to game at least, even if it's only an hour, it's about six days a week. I try to get on, and sometimes you're just not in the mood, like Red Dead. Okay, Red Dead, you launch it and you go into a mission and you get on your horse and you got a 20-minute story and then you get off, and sometimes it's an elaborate story or an elaborate action scene. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just looting an old farm and then bringing an old, a rustled up horse and carriage back to another barn. And you do that, you know what I mean? And you have to get into the story. So sometimes I'm just not in the mood for that. And then you just want to sit back and kind of get like the story told to you and where you move and control some certain characters. So I like that we have all these different genre of games to satisfy the mood you're into that particular night. So Until Dawn has really kind of fit that niche for me in the past couple. Like after I beat it the second time through, yeah, I'm not going to do it a third time through. But the game kind of makes you play it at least twice in a row because there's so many things you miss and there's so many things to the story that you want to fill in. And I'm using no WikiLeaks. I'm not using anything on YouTube. I'm literally just going through the second time. I'm making the decisions that I didn't make the first time. I'm making the alternate ones, even if they're not the ones I truly would want to, because I did those in the first playthrough, to get the full story and the full experience of the game. So these games are like $5 to $10 right now, folks. So there's no way that you could say you don't want to pick this up. So, and Until Dawn was actually a free giveaway on PS Plus about 4 months ago. Which
what a great game!
Yeah, and I had it physical. I returned that, and I ended up getting it. Now I have it digital, and it's like it's just easier. But yeah, that I'm very excited to see what they could do with Until Dawn too.
Yes, well, listen, Slow-Mo, before I get to you, because I want to get your point on this, I got to say a big shout out to Failed Pyromancer with the $20 super chat. He says he totally agrees about Cliffy B crying for attention. Yes, that is absolutely true. Slow-Mo, listen, here's the thing. It was confirmed that Supermassive is working on multiple games, and the director himself said that they have some PS4 exclusive games right after the launch and successful launch of Until Dawn. They talked about a sequel way back then. I mean, listen, maybe I'm grasping at straws here, but I think it's safe to say that we're going to get a part 2. It's not going to be the same characters. We know that.
Yeah.
It's going to be another tale, just like another horror movie with the same tropes. But I'm good with that. I thought what they did, first of all, if you look at the graphics, it looks stunning today. On the regular PS4 vanilla, it looks absolutely stunning. Mm-hmm. What are your takeaways on what they could do? Could we get this as maybe a PS5 launch title? And do you think that the world needs another Until Dawn? Because I do.
Yeah, look, just tell you guys straight up, Until Dawn's my favorite PS4 game.
Nice.
I know there's some people in the chat that's like, oh no, Until Dawn's not game. The gameplay sucks. Just point and click. Hey, look. Game isn't a bro shooter. Every game isn't going to have the same kind of gameplay. To say it's not a game, just so you're just saying that you're very narrow-minded in what you view games are. Now all games have to be the same. Your kind of game, hey, that's fine. But you know, other people really enjoyed those games. I thought Until Dawn was amazing. I played it until I could finally get all of those dumb teenage survive the end of the night. It's not an easy feat.
No,
they do some because they make some really stupid decisions and say whatever. But look, I agree. It's probably not going to be the same cast of characters because you could have everyone die. You could have, or you can have some people die and live. It doesn't matter. But you know, it's going to be something where I really hope they are making it for PS5. I know Man of Medan is coming out multi-plat next year.
Yes, that looks so good, dude.
And I'm day one on that. Look,
yes.
Supermassive, like they could be. I actually advocate that Microsoft should look into purchasing them because if you think about it, Sony has Quantic Dream, who makes these same kind of games exclusive for PlayStation. Microsoft in their first party studio or any kind of Microsoft exclusives, they don't have this kind of telltale story driven, you know, not much of the, you know, a lot of QTE, but not a lot of quick twitch, you know, fighting kind of stuff going on kind of games. They don't have anything like that. Supermassive could provide that for them. I think Until Dawn is a better game than anything that Quantic Dream has made. And I'm a Quantic Dream fan. So I think them still being exclusive and entering into deals with Bandai Namco to make a multi-plat is kind of shows that they're open to potentially being somewhere else. And I think that's something they should probably, you know, think about. But I also want to say that they have made a prequel, if anyone doesn't know it, on PSVR called The Inpatient.
It's a prequel. It was fantastic, dude.
Yeah, prequel to Until Dawn. If you want to know a little bit more about the story, about that crazy asylum that's on that mountain, that's in the Until Dawn game. You know, there's a story that goes deep dive into all of that.
A lot of jump scares in there in VR, man. Make you poop your pants.
Some of us might be, you know, a little too comfortable in our manhood to be allowed to, you know, put on the VR and start screaming around, you know, your girlfriends and your kids and whatnot. They start looking at you funny. But I'm not saying that to me. That absolutely is me. But look. Supermassive, I think they're a great developer. They put out a lot of games in a very short period of time. I actually kind of feel like they should probably stop taking on so many projects and just kind of consolidate some of those people into working two of their bigger projects like Man of Medan and Until Dawn 2.
Less is more, dude. I agree.
Yeah, because like I played Hidden Agenda that came out last year, and it was okay, but and it was running on the Unreal Engine instead of the Decima engine, which is was how they created Until Dawn.
Right.
But Hidden Agenda had potential, but it seemed very like it lacked a lot of polish. And
it lacked a lot of polish, but also there was really first of all phone games that you know that you play with your friends. I played it. It was good, but there wasn't a lot of buzz around it. Sony did terrible marketing on that particular game. It kind of came and went, and no one knew about it. I found out from a friend of a friend of a friend. I was like, wow, I didn't even know this was out. What is this game? This is great. So I agree.
It's like they took the idea from Until Dawn. If you go on YouTube and just put in Until Dawn, you'll get so many different channels, big channels that like played the game and they streamed it, and then they had like people with them saying, "Oh no, don't choose that, choose this, choose that." And so it's like they took the idea and said, "Hey, what if we made a game where instead of one person holding the controller and everyone's saying, don't go down that hallway, you're going to die, and the idiot goes down the hallway anyway and dies, that everyone could like choose, hey, maybe we can all have an idea. We can kind of have a crowd idea of like multi-choice, who wants to choose this way, who wants to choose that way, and then the majority choices would then win, and then you could have that person not go down that hallway." I mean, it was a cool idea that I think should not have been the entire focus of Hidden Agenda, because if you play it by yourself, you're having a boring time.
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
Yeah. But again, Supermassive, they're awesome. I'm looking forward to Man Dawn, looking forward to Until Dawn 2. I just kind of wish, Microsoft would think outside the box for a second. Hey,
yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, well, they're buying up studios, and I don't think that they're done. And you know what? They're trying to fill gaps. They're trying to fill genres that they just don't have a team to do. And the way you do that is you buy a company that does it. That's exactly how I would do it if I had $1 billion checkbook, if you will. But Alan, I want to go to you next on this, dude. First of all, I don't know whether or not you played Until Dawn.
I have played it.
Okay, very good. I really enjoyed it. I think that it deserves a sequel, not necessarily a Survivor sequel where the survivors of the game all have this happen again. I wouldn't actually mind a different story, to be honest with you. But do you think this is something that the PlayStation needs moving forward, and could it be a PS5 launch title?
Yeah, the thing I like about Until Dawn is that it is not your typical Sony exclusive.
Yes.
It's not your God of War, it's not your Last of Us, it's not your Uncharted. So I liked it. I picked it up shortly after I got a PS4 in 2015, and I played through a good chunk of it. And what I actually did was I live streamed my playthrough of it. I had, people help me make decisions.
Nice.
Some people knew the outcomes of those decisions because they already played it, or they already watched other people playing it, and then other viewers didn't know what happened because they didn't know much about the game, and that was fine. It was really fun. It's such a fun game to live stream, and sometimes it can get the heart going a bit. It can be pretty thrilling at times. Now, I wouldn't touch the VR version because that would be too far for me.
Okay,
but I enjoyed it, and I do want to go back to it actually, because I don't think I actually finished it off, annoyingly. I kind of wish I did, because it's one of those few PS4 exclusives that really caught my interest, really had me intrigued, and I went out and I got it quite cheap at the time, and I enjoyed what I played of it. And again, like what you were saying earlier about maybe Microsoft having a studio like that, I think that would be helpful. I think it'd be really nice to have a studio making those kinds of games, those kinds of experiences, because Until Dawn, as many people have said, it is one of the more interesting, more unique horror games we've had over the last few years. And I definitely want to see a sequel. Of course I do. Whether it's PS4 exclusive, whether it's like a spiritual successor that's multi-platform, I don't mind which. I would love to see the return of that franchise. Absolutely.
Nice. Well said. Clowns, let's go to you, brother. Until Dawn came out, surprised a lot of people. This was supposed to be a move game on the PS3. Everyone knows that. And it had the potential to be literally a disaster. But they turned it around, and for me anyway, it's one of my favorite PS4 games. Do you think that this series needs to continue? And more importantly, because they've been working on something for so long, could it potentially be a big launch title for the PS5?
I don't know if it could be a big launch title for the PS5, but I do think the series needs to continue. I think it's a fresh take on the 80s horror films and slasher films. I think it's really cool. My daughter sat here playing it the other day for 8 hours straight. She loves the game so much.
Nice.
And I can't wait for part 2 personally. I love the idea of making decisions for these dumb 1980s teenagers and then seeing the outcomes and their dialogue. I think it's just so creative the way they did it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I absolutely agree. And Enrique, I'm not sure if you're there, brother. Hey, here he is.
I'm here.
Okay. Obviously, again, being a showrunner, you have to continually look at what people are doing. And we know that Supermassive has been working on something, right? This story isn't new. People have been talking about this for a while, but I thought I wanted to bring it up. I try to make the topics really panel centric, because you know what, it makes the conversation interesting, and of course, more importantly, fun. For me anyway, and for a lot of panel members who have great fond memories of Until Dawn. A lot of the shocking moments, and tense moments. When you hear someone coming down the hall, you're running and you're trying to look and see who's chasing you, and you get that almost feel like if someone's behind you in real life. It's great, and it hasn't been done before. Do you think that you want to see this continue with an Until Dawn 2?
Oh, absolutely, man. They did a great job, and I didn't play Until Dawn for, oh geez, I think Slow Mo may have recommended it to me, and I finally picked it up. And I played some of it. I haven't played I haven't played the entire game yet, but
I did, and you're welcome.
Yes, you did. Thank you. I appreciate it. Because when he said, "Oh, that's my favorite PlayStation exclusive game," I was kind of like, "Really?" But it's all good. I mean, it's a fun game, and they did outstanding job with presenting, at least to me, because I grew up. You know, I'm old. I grew up watching Friday the 13th.
Yep,
Halloween.
I'm right there with you, dude.
Yes,
we'll have matching canes at school.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, growing up and watching those movies, and this game really took me back to some of those slasher films, and they did a really good job at it. And they fit a lot of those stereotypes or character stereotypes that we saw in those movies with, the nerd and the popular jock and the prom queen and, those characters that we would see in some of these movies, and they pulled it off. And the jump factor in that game is great. It's one of the things that I really loved about it. So, and I think Alan mentioned this, like it's so different from the other popular, Sony exclusives like God of War.
It's really different, and that's what makes it special. Yes, I agree.
Absolutely. And it's a nice break from those kind of games where you may have to put a little more thought and work into those games. I think Mooch said, you're driving your horse from point A to point B. Where this is kind of like you could put up your feet, control the dialogue outcome of what happens to these characters, and be entertained at the same time.
Yes.
And so I'm excited. I hope it's a PS5 launch game.
It'd be great. It'd be good to, as many bullets they want to add to the chamber for a strong PS5 lineup. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I'd love for it to come to VR too.
Oh yes, that would be great. That'd be fantastic. Again, a lot of people have to, invest in, some sort of diaper or something. But that's a story for another.
It's funny.
I think it depends, man.
I find it funny because the one that I have PSVR and like shout out to what Slow Mo was saying. Like I've been wanting to get the Impatient, and it's not been the price. It's been a deterrent. My issue is that like when you take a great game like Until Dawn. And like, don't get me wrong, it has its fair share of jump scares, but it has that creepiness where you're just with the shrink in between the stories, and you make those things, and like there's things that they did so well in that game. And another shout out to another one that I know me and Boom are fans of Resident Evil 7, all the Resident Evil games, but 7 did a great job of jump scaring you from your couch.
God, 7 was great,
wasn't it outstanding? It was my game of the year 2 years back. My thing of this,
damn old lady.
Oh my God, forget about it. Forget about it. My thing is this though. The thing I have a problem with VR is got like it's a one trick pony. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that as no pun intended. Right? It's
you did there.
I did. I didn't even write that down. That's great. But no, it's jump scares. And myself personally, I don't mind getting freaked out or creeped out during a horror game. That's the point.
Right.
But to just say you're sitting there, right? And you guys have all, for the majority of us have all tried VR of some sort. You know that you're engulfed in the world. And when you turn left and they're like, hey, turn left. And you're like, so you turn left and look. And then the minute you go to turn back around again, the game is designed to where it's just like, it's like, whoop, and the thing just jumps up in your face and you're like, oh shit. Like that's what the whole thing behind VR is. And I feel like they need to take a step back from that. Let us be immersed into this world, but not every single thing has to be a jump scare. Like it just seems like everything that's VR's claim to fame is the jump scare. And I was like, my God, you guys are relying on 1980s horror movies as your only, like Until Dawn did it without the headset. Like, you don't need the headset to do that. Like, get us immersed into the world. Make a more detailed environment that we're walking through. Not just everything is a jump scare where there's this, like, this thing that just pops out of nowhere for no reason sometimes. Yeah. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's gimmicky a little bit with VR.
Hey, just to piggyback off of sorry, I'm sorry, I'm tired today. The piggyback off of what Mooch just said. about not needing VR and Until Dawn also providing those kind of things. I thought what was really great with with Until Dawn was the move controls that were implemented into it. There are parts of it where you can't move. Like you cannot move the controller. If you do, you're dead. And it's just
they
like
spot you, they hear you. Yes.
And there's no warning before it happens, and you're just kind of just sitting there, and it's just like don't move, and then you see like a monster about to attack the character. You're just like, oh crap!
You freeze up on the couch. I've done that. Like I'm like I can't breathe. I gotta take a breath.
Look, full disclosure, I cheated. I just put the controller down. Like,
oh, come on, oh, you can't cheat, man.
Hey, look, man, I wanted to win, so there be times I remember my first time going through it, and there's a very important part where if you do move, a lot of people can die, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I think I kind of twitched, and it was just, oh, it's over, and I'm like, damn it, no. And I'm like, all right, let me do this again.
Movement and everyone died.
Look, you can actually see it. There's a little bar that shows up on the screen, and it shows where your controller is like tilting left or right, and you can't go outside of that little bar. And it's like I just touched the side of it, and then oh no, everyone's dead. And it's just like, no, okay, let me go do this again. And I just put the controller down.
I've had that happen, and I did reset it. I'm right there with you. And at that point, I got the folding table out, and I said, I'm putting it down. That's it. I'm not touching it.
See, there we go. Boom's right with me. Hey, look, man, if you don't know I'm holding the controller, no harm, no foul.
I'm going to do the same thing. When I get to that point, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put the controller on the table.
Listen, trust me, when you care, but you know what it is? You're trying to get everyone. It's like Mass Effect 2. You're trying to save the entire crew.
Yes.
I lost one person, and I was so pissed, dude. And I'm like, you know what? I have to start this again. But you know what? I want to go on to the next topic, segueing into Sony. Now, here's the thing. Sony not attending E3 2019 was so last week. So that brings me up with some very interesting questions on how exactly Phil Spencer and the team at Microsoft could potentially respond and take back what they lost in 2013. Now, let me explain. Here's the tweet from Sony super fanboy Greg Miller, literally minutes after Sony made the announcement. In case you missed the screaming and hypothesizing of Kind of Funny Games Daily, PlayStation skipping E3 2019 has blown my mind. It's bold, confident, crazy. And I think it means that they're going to do their own event after E3 and come up with megaton after megaton for the PS5. Now, there are 8 more Twitter responses after this, and they're very long, so I'm not going to read them. Here is my question to the panel and, of course, the chat. I'm putting you in charge of the Xbox platform. Given what we know about Microsoft acquiring 6 studios and creating a brand new one in the form of the Initiative, how would you schedule E3 2019? How would it look and feel? And what would you do to take advantage of a potential Sony stumble because they don't have enough to show? Mooch, I want to hit you off first. This is an important question. I think everyone wants to know the answer. But if you were running the show, what would you do E3 2019 to put your stamp at the end of this generation and the start of the new one?
Well, it's a tough question to answer just off the fly. I'm not sure that I think Microsoft right now, believe it or not, is freaking out more knowing that Sony's not going to be there than if they were.
I never thought of that. That's smart.
It's true, because here's the thing. It's like if you're doing any show, if all of a sudden you have your usual suspects showing up to do the show, and then all of a sudden you find out that 2 or 3 aren't going to make it, guess what happens? It's more eyes on you. So the thing about it is now Microsoft's really under the microscope. And I think that it's not necessarily that they're going to come out this next year and come out and redeem themselves from the past 4 or 5 years or make up what they lost in 2013. That's not going to happen. What they need to do, though, okay, and I've said this on various shows, okay, and I'll say it again. Microsoft has to put on their big boy pants.
Yes.
And they've got to show some video games.
Yep.
Stop the bullshit. Quit this crap with I'm not going to show you until we're almost going gold nonsense. I'm not telling them, listen, how could Mooch sit here at a desk, okay, and podcast a few times a week and tell somebody who's been doing this for a long time what to do. All I'm going to tell them is this. They don't need to do 5, 10, 15 minutes of gameplay. They don't need to have people on the stage telling you about, they don't need to do a lot of this stuff. Here's what you need to do with your newly acquired companies. We need the name of the game. We need a CGI, 60 seconds, okay? Or one or the other. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be elaborate. You don't have to go nuts. I understand where they're coming from. But this nonsense to have the XO they had recently, okay, and then they have these newly acquired studios that 2 or 3 of them are making PlayStation games because they're still in contract, which is fine. That's business. That's just the way it is. But now you're going to have the stage to yourself. And I don't think this is about recouping. They're not going to recoup. Let's just call it a fresh start. Boom. What they're able to do this upcoming June is let the audience know, and they're all going to be watching because Nintendo's there, but they're only there in a certain in booth space. They're not doing a stage show. Sony's not doing a stage show. Is they need to let everybody know that they've been heard. All the gamers have been heard over the past 4 years that we're going to get an absolute monster in the Scarlet. These are the studios and the games that they're making, or the genres, that we have full dedication to gaming, which they've done. They've done a lot of this. But the point of the matter is they need to show the games. Nintendo came out and showed just Smash Brothers. People are still clapping from that last Direct. There's still people clapping. Like, hands are raw. They're like, oh my God, I just can't. Right? There's not unbelievable. The only thing we saw up until the last E3 was Joel kicking an old plum over to Ellie. Okay? That's all we knew about The Last of Us 2, but it was enough to make headwaves, and news was just fluttering for 2 years since that PSX. My point being is that if Microsoft comes out next year, this is their single opportunity where all eyes are on them to show the games and show us what you've been doing behind the scenes. This nonsense and this just the fan base. It's like, well, don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry, it's happening. Don't worry, it's going to be great. That's like when you talk to your favorite, your buddy, and they're always talking about their favorite sports team, okay? And they're like, don't worry, next year we're going to get a draft pick. We're going to be fine. We're going to be great. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. Because until the actual draft comes and your team makes the proper selection, I don't know the direction your team's going in. And I don't know what these teams, all we know, okay, Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games, The Initiative, okay, In Exile, all these guys. And we don't know what they're doing. So we need to see the path forward. Are you making a game like this? Are you calling it what? I don't need a release date. I don't even need gameplay. Give me a CGI and a title and spread that out through your marketing rights. They're gonna. Here's the other thing. They're probably going to pick up a lot of marketing deals.
No doubt.
They're going to have a lot of the third-party big boys are going to Xbox again because they're going to pay for it. And they're going to do that, and they're going to have great stage presence. And we already know that we're going to get games like, I know that some of it's going to make your ears bleed, guys, but Crackdown 3, okay, is going to be coming. Rumored to be some sort of a Battletoads game, and you have Gears 5 at the end of the year. So Microsoft can have a well-balanced show that is certified games coming out that we know they've said are coming out in 2019. Then you've got their promotional games with their newly acquired studios, whether it be just a CGI or just a name, okay? And then you've got the marketing deals with the big names finally for once, not the B+ marketing deals they've been getting the past 3 years, the A+ games. You put all 3 of those together, you got Call of Duty's probably the year after. But nonetheless, I'm just saying like that is a well-rounded E3 show. But if you take out the newly acquired companies and you don't give us those two things, whether it be CGI or name recognition, I'm telling you right now, it's literally going to fall flat.
I agree with you. I actually think that what you're saying makes perfect sense. But Sloan, I want to get your take on this. And Mooch actually said it. Nintendo, not this E3, last E3, two E3s ago, ends their Direct with a screen that says Metroid Prime 4, and basically the internet broke, right? Just a screen, just a picture of the words, Metroid Prime 4. Literally, there were people jumping off the building in excitement, right?
Yeah.
This is what Microsoft needs to do. Just imagine if they end E3 2019 with a 30 or 45 second walk through a forest, right? You just picture, you see some animals running, you see a sword in the ground, you see some damage, fire damage on a tree or something, and then it just opens up and says Fable. People, dude, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Come on.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying?
It's that's why I wanted from XL. I wanted at least one. I wanted at least one. It's no problem, man. I wanted at least one new IP announcement.
Yes,
I agree with Mooch. I want them to, for lack of a better term, blow their load at XL.
Yes,
I want everything out there. I want to see everything. I wonder if you're working on it and you've given your developer, your new studios, creative control. And I don't want to hear anything about, hey, well, we don't want to show it because we might cancel it later on. No, I don't want to hear any of that. I want to show everything. In Exile, guy's name,
Obsidian. Yes,
Obsidian. I want In Exile actually said that there was a game that they're working on that they haven't announced yet that Microsoft saw and was probably their leading reason why they wanted to purchase them. Okay, well, show me why you wanted to purchase them too. Exactly. I want to see that as well. I want E3 to be, you don't have any competition, so I want E3 to be, make it your show. Turn E3 into the Microsoft show. That's what I want to see because I mean, even though they haven't announced it, Sony's going to show PS5 later next year. At least I believe that's almost a guarantee. That's also probably the reason why it won't be a show by E3. So they say, you know what, we're going to do it at SX about a year from now. But what you want to do is you want to own the narrative on the PSX.
Yes.
You want everyone to be thinking about your platform, where you're providing the kind of games that you're coming out with beyond 2019. Because as of right now, what's coming out in 2020? No,
we don't
idea.
know. No, we literally have zero ideas. Nothing.
Zero idea. At least with Sony, that you know about the game coming out with, and some of them are coming out in 2019, and some of them may. But at least you know of what's coming in the future. I want to have kind of confidence in what I want to see Fable. Yep. I want to see Obsidian's game. I want to see Ninja Theory's next game, which your mom people are sitting with them and talking everything out. Hey, look, games that Jerry Maguire movie, Show Me the Money. Let's flip that. Show me the games. Yep. I want to see all of them. So yeah, show us everything you got. Make it, instead of a 2-hour show, like a 3-hour show.
And the thing is, and Slow-Mo said it, I didn't even, bravo. I'm tired of the game might get canceled. There's this bumper sticker that people have been using for about 50 years. It's called Shit Happens.
Yeah.
It shit happens, man. We get it. I understand the media is going to come out there and say, oh, whatever happened to these games, blah, 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 this got canceled, that got canceled. The thing about it is that's going to happen regardless down the line. You're telling me from now until the end of days that we're not going to have a game that's canceled? It happens on Nintendo's front. It happens on Sony's front. It happens on Microsoft. Let me tell Microsoft this much if they're listening. If you've got 10 games to announce and 2 get canceled, we're still really happy.
Yeah, it's still
what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So don't not show the other 8 because there's 2 subpar companies you're dealing with. And the whole thing, too, is remember this, folks. This is what I would say to Microsoft if I was in front of them at the boardroom. I'd say the issues that you had with canceled games prior were deals that you'd cut with third-party teams. Now you own these companies. They work for you.
Yes.
So nothing gets canceled because you're the one that approved it in the first place. And that's why I said, put on your big boy pants and show the damn game. Enough of this nonsense.
Exactly. I agree. There's a lot of things at next year's E3 they could show. And, just for fun, I'll use a little line from Donnie D. He used to say, it's about showing, not telling.
Yeah, he sure did say that.
The reason I like that line so much is because I feel it's applicable to what we're talking about. It's like they can't just come out and say, we have 6 studios and all 6 are making an exclusive game. That only takes up 30 seconds of your E3 briefing. And we're wondering, what are they? What are they working on? So I think at this year's E3, or next year's E3, I should say, it's very important that they just come out and they just They just have hitter after hitter after hitter.
They need it, dude.
And
They
I don't
absolutely need it.
mind if it's CGI. I don't mind if it's CGI at
No,
all.
CGI's
Yeah.
fine.
For a couple of the games, I would like, you know, a creative director or someone on stage gives a brief walkthrough. I do not like what Sony does, where they show trailer, and that's it. I do not like that. Sony's last 3 E3 conferences didn't interest me. I don't like that style of conference where they're in the theater room and I don't like that. I do like Microsoft's style for a conference where they have execs on stage, all that. It's the more traditional.
That's the old school way. Yes, correct.
I want them to stick to that. I most certainly want them to stick to that.
Well, you know what the thing is, though, Alan? These things are scripted, and they work on E3 for months in advance. I think they start in January, right?
Oh, so I think they start before the end.
Maybe
of the year.
before. That's even better yet.
Yeah.
So the more time you add to it is more fuel to my fire. Is that I'm saying that when you have these guys, that's fine. If you want to have a creative director come out and discuss it, that's fine. But stop the rambling, the nonsense, and the stuff they do on the Inside Xbox. Make it scripted, not scripted false, okay? But scripted, what is it the game's about? Where did the creative thought process come from? Is this something that originally was something your team and crew wanted to do? Bing, bang, boom, get the fuck off the stage. Come on, we got things we got to do here. You're going to bore the audience. But you know, these creative directors come out there and they're like, when I was 8, I envisioned, listen, we don't need to hear the time you smacked your head on the toilet and came up with a flex capacitor.
When you think about Microsoft's E3s, their E3 shows, not their Inside Xbox show, their E3 briefings, they usually get through things fairly quickly. They're quite snappy when it comes to that. It's Inside Xbox that tends to drag on and on and on and on and on. And now, when there was a lot of hype for XO, you know, I did say to people, it's just an Inside Xbox. And people were like, it's not just an Inside Xbox, it's XO. And I'm like, it's just an Inside Xbox. What was it? It was just an Inside Xbox.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And people, like, I put out that tweet, Mooch, you'll remember, about Fable not being at XO. And there were some people who were saying I was lying, that I made that up. And I'm like, no, I swear, like, I was in the room with Ralph in person, and he tells me don't expect the game for a while. And I report on that, and it's like, people are like, well, no, they're going to show it really soon. They're going to have megatons at XO. And, you know, they didn't. They had some good announcements. They had some nice end-of-year announcements. But they could have done them all in a 30-minute show.
They could have.
Not a 2-hour show. Inside Xbox would be a lot better if it was a lot shorter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why is Inside Xbox? Why is every episode of Inside Xbox that we've had so far longer than their E3 conferences?
But Alan, it's a problem.
Xbox 2 hours.
It's a problem across all of the shows. Listen, I think everybody on this panel will agree with me, and if not, I'd love to hear the rebuttal. The Game Awards is 3.5 hours.
Oh, that's true.
That's ridiculous. I mean, you're trumpeting the Oscars? Get out of here.
Yeah.
The problem with that show for me is it doesn't start until 2 a.m. and it goes on till 6 a.m.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I think though, in terms of Microsoft's show, you know, all eyes are going to be on them this year. This is their chance to, you know, really get their message across. It's going to be, they control the narrative for this year.
You know, I think the way they did E3, their presentation, how they set it up on E3 of this year, they should do the same thing next year, but just give us more first party offering.
More first party, and I feel the third party games they announce, and I know people probably won't like this. I think it's important that you get Phil or someone come on stage and they say all downloadable content for this title, 30 days first, only on Xbox One, because that's important.
Yes,
a lot of people. There were a lot of like pro players and everything who had to switch to PS4 because of the Call of Duty maps. You know what I mean? We're getting them 30 days early. Now it's only 7 days. It has reduced, thank God, for Xbox players. But yeah, I do think some marketing deals that really emphasize this is best on Xbox when you get the best quality version and you get, you know, some form of exclusive content. I think that's fair enough when you consider that Sony's doing it.
Yeah, and, you know, even though Sony's press conference at E3 was really boring, but they showed their games, and they showed a really good trailer for that. And you know, and even though this year I feel bad for the homeless guitar and flute players that won't be able to be there this year. Regardless, like they show they showed games well, even though the actual whole show was kind of bad. I like how Nintendo does their directs, and they just make a direct about one specific game, or if they show you anything, and like I remember when they showed Smash. And it was just like I think it was 2 Splatoon characters, moving around, shooting at each other, and then it was the logo. I mean, I saw grown men screaming like girls, like grown men with voices deeper than mine, high-pitched squealing like girls. I mean, like when you can get your community to fanboy out like that, you have achieved you. That was a success, and I think
no doubt, right.
And I think that's what Microsoft wants to cultivate. I mean, I agree with you, Boom, about ending the show with like just a little maybe 15-second cutscene, or of like, and then have it end with the title Fable, because that tells us, hey, look, we're absolutely making Fable. Everyone already knows Playground is making Fable. Microsoft is still just sitting over there like, we're not going to say anything. I'm like, come on, man. We already know you're making the game. Just say you're making the game.
Right.
Actually give us something to be hyped about instead of, keeping everything close to the vest like that, because that's just it's not beneficial for us at your Xbox game.
Not as a fan that's hanging on the edge of madness. No, I absolutely agree. Real quick, I have to say a big thank you to Smitty Smith with the $10 super chat. He says, because it's Boom and why not? Why is Mooch yelling? Of course, that is the
been known to happen.
Enrique, I want to get your take on this. Look, we as Xbox fans, as Xbox First fans, we are chomping at the bit for something new, something exciting. Forget the fanboy stuff. Forget my my dick is bigger than yours. Listen, Sony won this generation. It's the end of the story. We know that. Yeah. But we still want more from Microsoft. We know that they're doing big things. We know that they're never going to relinquish power again. That we have all of that in front of us. But it would be great for them to come up on E3 and just drop bomb after bomb after bomb with these games. That's what we want. We want to be able to say, yes, we don't know what Fable is going to look like, but God damn it, they went up on stage and they said, this is coming out soon. Get ready. And everyone goes crazy. What are your takes on this, dude?
So I think this is, obviously, I think we all agree this is a huge moment for them, huge opportunity for them to control the narrative, to be the focal point of the gaming industry. And they got to go out there and knock it out of the park. Just show us games. Show us what these studios are working on. I think the idea of a CGI, hell, if they showed a 10-second CGI of something that, one of the new studios is working on, I'd be okay with it.
Me too.
I don't need gameplay. I don't need, a developer to come out and, like Mooch said, talk about when he was 8 years old and he had the dream to make this, game. Microsoft's allowed him to, realize his dream. But show us games. Show us what you're working on.
That's right.
So that, so that we know, because this E3 should be a roadmap to segueing for them, at least, to next console gen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to stick? Yeah. If I'm if I'm a gamer, I'm looking at it. Well, Microsoft, what are you going to do for me in the future? Like, what's the roadmap here? Why should I be excited about playing or purchasing these titles that are going to be coming out in presumably your next console? Why should I be excited about that console? You got to give me a reason for me to go out and spend $400, $500 again, whatever the case may be, for this new console. And you got to show me the games. You got to show me what you guys are working.
I like what Enrique's saying. That's huge. The roadmap. And that's what I said. We don't need to see the gameplay. I get that they're years away. We all get that. And if anyone doesn't, it's just like you say, it's fuel for console war stuff. Realistically, we know they're years out. But let me tell you something. All right. Let's say me, Enrique, and Boom, we go into business and we're going to start making games. We're not going into business or start making games without the concept of the game we're going to pitch to Microsoft in the first place. So we got a concept. We've got something, and that's what Slow-Mo was saying. This latest acquisition in Exile, they showed something. You can't go up and get bought by the third largest country in the world, third largest business in the world, without an idea, a platform, or a pitch, right? You can't be like, trust me, I'm good, I swear. Well, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So these guys are working on something. even if it's just a genre, it's an idea, it's a quick 30-second CGI, it could be nothing, right?
Yeah.
It could be like a creature walking through the woods and this and that, and then a gunshot, and it's like boom, and then it's like, you know, woodsy revival. I don't know, whatever. I don't give a shit. Okay. I'm like, well, that's what we got to get into. This is what it is. So that I like that. The roadmap is what we need. We're all buying these the Xbox One X's. I understand that, you know, we all knew PlayStation was going to absolutely kill it with a 199 PS4 Slim with Spider-Man in there. I mean, what kid doesn't want to wake up to that, right? That's a major plus fantastic for Sony.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, myself personally, I say the same thing. I enjoyed Spider-Man. But my thing about it is that Microsoft has to have their Spider-Man. They have to have their God of War. They have to. And here's the thing: we can't talk about it. You got to show us. Yeah. And if they don't show it,
that's true.
It's a them problem. You know?
Yes. Well, listen, I want to close out this last this topic.
I want to make one more comment real quick.
Sure.
Is they have a lot to gain here, but I also think they have a lot to lose, because if they don't have a good showing, the narrative you're going to hear coming out of E3 is, "Damn, E3 sucks without Sony."
Yeah, oh God, yes.
Yeah, good point. That's why I said they're under the microscope, Enrique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, Clowns, I want to get your take on this. I know you had the dog issue earlier. How important do you think, as a person that runs the Four Guys with Quarters, you know, as a host, you need to talk about these things? How important is it for Microsoft to come out in 2019 for E3 and just let the world know that they mean business?
I think at this point it's extremely important, but also at the same time, Microsoft does be careful what they say, what they do, what they show, only because no matter what they show, the press is going to find something negative about it. And then Sony doing their show later on, like, you know, months after E3 or whatever, Sony's going to try to counteract everything Microsoft does at E3 and try to one-up them. It's almost like they're giving themselves time frame to steal some ideas or duplicate some ideas, you know? So I just think that Xbox has to be very smart about this. They have to be very confident at the same time. Like Mooch said, show some games, not just CGI. Show some games what we're looking forward to as fans, get us excited, get us pumped up, but also don't give the media any more bullets. You know what I mean? Like to just point at them and be like, oh, Microsoft screwed this up. Oh, Microsoft said this and didn't do this. You know, just wow us, man. But just be careful.
Yeah, no, great point. Listen, the last topic of today is I'm going to start with Alan because we talked privately in a DM. I pulled this story from segmentnext.com. Now, we all know, based on an earlier story, that there was not going to be a Forza Motorsport 8 in 2019. Turn 10 is basically going to improve Forza Motorsport 7 instead. And you know what? I'm okay with that at this point. Now, here's the thing. Turn 10 Studios has confirmed this, but what the question I have for the panel is, we know that both teams, Turn 10 Studios and Playground Games, are working on Forza games. It's pretty, I mean, I have no inside baseball knowledge to this, but I think it's pretty safe to say the next Forza title, whichever one it's going to be, is going to be a launch title for Scarlet in 2020. There's just no doubt about it. And why not? Because the game is going to look absolutely incredible. Alan, you had some things to say. You did a story at Full Throttle Media, which I think is a fantastic site everyone should check out. Please start this last topic off with all of the knowledge you know on what they're going to do to better Forza Motorsport 7 and what they're going to do moving forward.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, I should probably clarify that the segment next story, it's a little clickbaity.
Okay.
Turn 10 have not said there's going to be no Forza 8 in 2019, and they haven't said there's going to be no Forza game in 2019. What they've said is they've received what they quote a great gift of time, where they can literally take their time to really focus and improve the core fundamentals of Forza Motorsport 7. And they've got like a few things in the works. They've got a physics roadmap that extends as far as 2021. So various different aspects of the game they plan to improve right up to 2021. Though that doesn't mean just FM7. That means the franchise as a whole. But when you think about next year and whether there's going to be like a Forza game or not, you know, it is a little bit tricky to say, even for someone like myself. It is hard to know what exactly is going to happen in 2019, but I don't think it's going to be a traditional year where we just get Forza 8 and that's it. I think what we might see instead is some really large content updates and expansions for both Motorsport 7 and Horizon 4.
Right.
Ralph Fulton told me at the Goodwood interview that whilst they've announced and planned to do 2 expansions for Horizon 4, they actually intend to do more than that this time.
Oh, nice.
So what I'm thinking is, okay, a 3rd expansion for Horizon 4, a big 3rd expansion for Horizon 4 at the end of next year, a big expansion for Forza 7 that includes a bunch of new tracks. You know, those are the kind of things I'm thinking of when we look at 2019. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe at next year's E3, I think we'll still get a Forza segment. It might not be, though, a Forza segment to announce a new game. I think they're going to announce some killer content additions for Motorsport 7 and Horizon 4. It wouldn't be a huge segment, wouldn't be too long, but it would be stuff to really please fans of those games. That's what I personally think we're going to see. As for when we're going to see the next big flagship motorsport game, yeah, it probably is going to be a Scarlet launch title, and yeah, we're probably going to see that at the end of 2020, and it should look incredible on that console. I think their goal would be to make a big technological advancement with this next game, because you play Forza 7, it's a stunning game, it really is, but if you kind of slow down for a bit and look to the side of the track, the trees are still 2D cutouts.
Yes.
And the people still kind of look cardboardy.
Yeah, they do.
And you know what? That's the price of 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
In a 4K racing game like Forza 7, that's the price of 60 FPS. GT Sport also has to do its own workarounds to try and make trees not look completely terrible and things like that. Like that is an issue. But yeah, in terms of next year, I think it's going to be a different year for the Forza franchise.
Oh, I'm very interested to see where they go. Mooch, listen, we know that they both these companies are going to put out a quality product, whatever it's going to be. The fact that they are going so deep and strong into content on Forza Motorsport 7, but of also possibly adding a 3rd expansion, which could be something, a new Hot Wheels that everyone has been asking for. For me anyway, clearly says that 2019, don't expect a new Forza, that we're going to get it as a launch title. Do you agree with that plan?
I've always agreed with that plan, and I don't know how Alan will feel. I think Alan's heard me talk about it in Crossfire. I've had multiple discussions with Crap about this. I also don't like it for Call of Duty, but I understand that that's a money-making machine.
Right.
I don't like games that are just like when you say, oh, it's that time. Listen, games shouldn't come like a bus schedule. I don't like that, because you know what happens? It's why we don't want to ride the bus. That's why people save their hard-earned money to try and get a car, no matter what the car is, because it's a mess. And I really don't like having Forza come out every single year like clockwork, because you're not giving the team enough time. I would rather them give us some DLC, give us some added content, which may be extra. Maybe Microsoft says it's free. That's a them thing. That's them to make the decision. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'd rather see the current games that we currently have right now, which would be Motorsport. Okay, we have Motorsport 7 and we have Forza Horizon 4, and give us DLC or give us added content the next couple of years. Take your time. Let Turn 10 come out with a real whopper for Scarlet. And then when that comes out, wait another 2-3 years for Forza 9. You know what I mean? So 8 will come out with Scarlet, have Motorsport 9 come out 3 years later. Give them time, because otherwise, if you look at really, and I know there's been some significant changes, and Alan's here. It's great to have Alan's like an Encyclopedia Britannica for Forza. It's great. Like Alan knows, he knows, between 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Have there been changes? Absolutely. Are they groundbreaking? I don't think so. Yeah. And I'm not a Forza nut. I'm not. But someone who's trying to get into the series, I'm seeing gradual increasement in better. Like they're bettering themselves. They're increasing their ability and their look and their function and their form, just incrementally, slightly changing year to year. Where I would rather see this big bonanza every 3 years and show me, really get me to be like, wow, I got to get back into Forza. You know, you don't
Yeah.
say that when it's these small incremental changes. And that's what I think. So I have no problem, Boom, with Turn 10 getting the rightfully deserved amount of time to make the game better and give them the time that they deserve.
I agree 100%. Slow-mo, I want to go to you next, dude. Listen, Forza is and I'll say this like I said in the opening. For me, anyway, as an Xbox fan, Forza is just as important as Halo and Gears of War is. That is I think that is very, very, not a blanket statement, a truthful statement. And I think what they're doing at those both of those studios, they're always going to be advancing. They're always going to be special, and they don't rest on their laurels. That's what I love about those companies. Do you think that we're going to get a new one for the launch of Scarlet? And what could how amazing would that be? And look for a launch title of what's going to be the next most powerful console we've ever played.
Yeah, I do agree that Forza is right up there with your Halo and your Gears, and I do think it probably we probably will get the next Motorsport as a launch title in 2020. 2020 likely for the next gen system for Microsoft. I like them getting more time because what you don't want is seeing reuse assets over and over again, and it's not the devs' fault they have to reuse assets. It's more of, hey, look, this works, and we don't have the time to make this better, and being able to give them more time to maybe make actual people who aren't cardboard cutouts and things like that. Like, I mean, it's a racer. Like, do you really care that like the person on the side, they're a blur. They're a blur to you because you're driving, right? So it's not that big a deal, but then it does kind of get you out of the realism of the situation. And I'm not a big racing fan. Like I don't play Motorsport, but I do play Forza Horizon. And I enjoy Forza Horizon.
Yep.
And I can see between 3 and 4 where it's 4 is definitely a better game than 3, but it's not a drastic difference. And then how could it be? You only had 2 years from from launch to launch to really crank that next game out. So yeah, give it time. Microsoft makes the best racer right now. They make the best racers, and that's going to continue likely. But with the devs that they have. So, but give them a little time to make their games. It doesn't have to be every 2 years, I don't think. And Motorsport coming out in 2020 when the last one was last year, I don't have a problem with that. It drops some nice DLC for Motorsport. That would be. I think that would tide the racing fans over until you come out with your next game. And I don't think anyone who really cares about the franchise would complain about that.
No, I agree. If you're going to add content, not to one racer, but to both racers in 1 year, you're going to have your fill of racing, and you're going to have the best racing in the business doing it. Alan, you want to say something, brother?
I just wanted to quickly say, even like every month, Forza 7 gets a new update that adds new features. And a lot of the features they're working on are all based on fan feedback. It's stuff people have really wanted to see in the Motorsport game, but haven't because of that 2-year development cycle. So now that they can focus on Forza 7, that's great for people who have the game. And the thing is, like in this month's update, they removed the prize crates. They introduced a new race shop where you can buy the stuff you want.
Nice.
And they also improved the collision physics. Previously, online racing, it would sometimes be a bit of a mess. It won't be that bad anymore because of the way they've improved the collisions. And next year, they're going to introduce race regulations. So people who are trying to be trolls in online, well, they're just going to get disqualified out of the race. They're going to be ghosted, or they might get a time penalty.
Nice.
So they're working on some great stuff for Motorsport 7 that improve the experience for everyone. And it's all free content. It's all free updates. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well really quickly is Horizon 4. Every week the season changes on Thursday.
It's just fantastic.
New content into the game as well. New content every week to enjoy. So what I find myself doing is I'm going between Motorsport and Horizon because both games are getting updated with, meaningful content. They're getting meaningful updates that are today. I'm like, oh, Horizon 4 is something new. I'm going to play that. Oh, they've added that new collisions feature to Motorsport 7. I want to go on that and check out what the online racing is like now. You see what I mean?
Yeah, you can go back and forth, and there's still the games are obviously Motorsport 7 is a little older. It's still relevant. That's what's important.
It's very relevant because it's the newest motorsport game.
Yes. Well, listen, I want to go to Clowns on this. Clowns, let me ask you, brother. Obviously, we know that they're working on racing games. We know that you're gonna get a Forza Motorsport 8. We know you're gonna get a Forza Horizon 5. Are you okay with them just doing the updates and keeping these games relevant and waiting for a proper Scarlet launch title in the form of possibly Forza Motorsport 8?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with this at all. I think it's an excellent idea to not always constantly pump these games out every single year. Every 2 years, every 3 years would be fine with me. I mean, the games hold up, they last. The quality of the games are excellent. The graphics are excellent. The fun with friends is amazing. So I don't think they need to keep, pushing these out kind of like hotcakes every year. I think, taking a step back, allowing these games to digest with us, because we're going to keep playing them anyway, right? I'm still playing Forza Horizon 4 with Assassin and Inferno when we get on, and I'm still having fun on it. I don't need another one next year. I could wait a year or two because I'll still be playing this one. It's that much fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They really knocked it out of the park. And last but certainly not least, Enrique, we'll finish off this massive topic about Forza. Again, in my opinion, I think what they're doing is smart. They're supporting what they have out, right? Because they could have easily just said, okay, Forza 7 was a mess, let's move on. And they didn't. And they're constantly on a weekly basis updating this, listening to what the fans want. And that's what Microsoft is known for, right? They listen to their fan base, they give back to their fan base, and they're doing it. But in regards to a launch title, obviously, when you're going to put out Scarlet, we're going to try and forget about 2013, and this is going to be the most powerful hardware that's available. I don't care what PS5 is going to do. Microsoft said it; they're never going to be behind in power. So I'm expecting this to be an even bigger monster than the X. With that said, is it smart that they hold off the proper sequel to 7 and use that as a launch title? Because the more launch titles that you have out there that are bangers, the more that console is going to sell.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I think I love that they're continuing to support Forza Motorsport 7 and fixing a lot of these issues and listening to the community feedback. I think that's huge. But I also like that they're going to have time to really take the time to learn the new hardware and make a game that hopefully, and I think, is going to blow the roofs off or blow a lot of people's expectations of what Forza Motorsport 8 will be running on new hardware. And I think that you want, this is one of your flagship franchises. It is the king of racers. It is. I mean, there's hands down, they've consistently been top in that genre. And give them the time to learn the new hardware and put out a game that's really going to blow our minds away. And not just give us these slight improvements that we see year to year or every 2 years, whatever the case is, but give us something that's really going to showcase showcase the hardware of the next gen console. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's smart for them to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, we just crossed the 2-hour mark. We started a little late due to some technical issues, but this was an incredible show, literally from start to finish. I have to thank everybody on this panel. You guys literally knocked it out of the park. We were able to get to almost all of the topics. Obviously, the Gears of War, I had a feeling that was going to run a little long, and for good reason. We all care about it. Everyone has a story to tell and what they want to see. So I was very happy with that segment. The chat today wasn't as friendly as I'm normally used to. There was a lot of poking and prodding. And listen, I can't tell anyone how to speak, but I am going to say this as a showrunner. I want people to come to my show, go into the chat, and just chill. If you're someone that can't understand that ideology, then maybe this show isn't for you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't tune in. I'm saying that if you're going to be in the chat and you're going to start poking and using, I've seen a couple of N-words, folks. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't stand for that. And if I would have saw it from the beginning, I would have blocked you. I would have taken you right out of the chat. I don't stand for that kind of talk. My brother's African-American. A lot of people don't know that. My brother neo-mental. And I don't stand for any kind of racist, sexist kind of stuff in my chat. So in the future, just to give you the heads up, if I see that, not only will I block you here, I will unfollow you and block you on Twitter, because I cannot be behind that kind of shenanigans. But more importantly, let's get to the outros, because that is what's important. Mooch, my brother, listen, I thank you every day that I do a show, because you opened the door, you gave me a platform. I know you say, yeah, I just took it and run, but I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for your kindness, reaching out and saying, yeah, come on the show. And then I got a taste of being with this community and being with other gamers and doing this live on the air. And I could not imagine my life without it. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
I appreciate it, but always the con words. And what I always tell people is, yes, maybe I can't thank you enough for that, the outro right there. But you've taken the baton and you've run with it. You're doing outstanding. Boom. I love coming on the channel when I'm home on Fridays. But let me promote what you're going to be on later on tonight. Yes. We do have Crossfire, 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show. I've got a Flash from the Past coming on tonight, too. So one of our original usual suspects is coming back for a guest appearance. I'm very excited to have him back on. I'm not going to mention it. I want you to tune in. The Mooch 78, check it out. And then also, okay, in case you're not full of Mooch yet, you got Mooch Marathon all weekend, buddy. You've got MNC show on my channel, 11 a.m. on this upcoming Sunday, where we've got a lot to discuss and a lot of interesting updates for the MNC show. We have a possible producer lined up. We are actually doing a test run with the individual tomorrow, and maybe by a week from now, we'll have our show back to where you guys where we left off about a month and a half ago. So thanks for your patience, everybody. Boom, thanks for having me on. Amazing panel. Outstanding to hang out with these guys. I've gamed with a lot of them. I've podcasted with a lot of them. And the ones that haven't been on Crossfire have got to get on Crossfire. So we'll work on that in the upcoming weeks. But thanks for having me, Boom. I appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Slow-mo, listen, dude, we talked. You sent me a message to say, Boom, I'm off Friday. Can I get on? Immediately a spot was open for you. I love what you do on your shows. What you do on the Scumcast is great. You keep it real. What you do on BRAP is fantastic. You're a guy that says something and there's no stutter. You talk about gaming because you love it. You love the Xbox. We all know that. But you also will give props where it's due. And then, of course, if someone is doing something incorrectly, we know what happens. And that is, of course, feeling the back part of your hand. Tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, and listen to you on a regular basis.
Man, Boom, I appreciate that, man. That warms the heart. You know, it makes this old guy feel real welcome and loved. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter by the same name, Slow-Mo Backslap, and on Scumcast Saturdays. We'll be on this Saturday 4:15 Central Time with the Ash and Luca.
Female Mooch.
Yes. Luca she is a savage. So yeah, you know, be careful with Luca. And also with Enrique on BRAP on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I had a great time. Boom, I want to say that the show's awesome. I'm so glad that you do this in the mornings, because sometimes I'm at work and I'm just like, oh my God, I can't take it. Like, I need to get out of here. I need something to keep me awake, because I'm about to fall asleep at my desk and just have a big, like someone look at my screen. It's just like a M number, M letter just going across the screen because I'm knocked out. But nope, like your show, yeah, I get the notification that your show's on. I'm like, bet I got something that's going to keep me awake, keep me entertained. So I appreciate you, bro.
Well, listen, thank you so much. Yeah, the morning market for a retired guy is untapped, and I enjoy doing it. Like I said, I have 3 live shows I do weekly. I changed the format of my channel because I used to do a lot of videos, and as much as they were fun, I started to lose interest in doing them, because I feel that I do better live with no, again, I like the pressure of not making a mistake, not having to stop and re-record. I like being, this is me behind the mic, this is me in real life. So I switched the focus of the channel to live content. I'm up to 3 live shows weekly. I love all of them. This one in particular on Fridays. It's a great way to end the week, especially if you have to work. So thank you for those kind words. But Alan, I want to go to you. Listen, Full Throttle Media, I think is a fantastic site, and it deserves the attention of everyone. It's a racing specific site, but you also talk about pretty much anything gaming, especially if it's big breaking news. I think that you are essential to its success. And obviously you're now one of the regular panel members on Crossfire, and you excel there. And it was an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on today's show. Please tell everyone where they can follow you on Twitter, where they can listen to you on Crossfire, and where they can tune in to read all of your amazing work on your website.
Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words, because honestly, I really appreciate it. The great thing about the website is that, I focus on racing games. And the nice part about that is you do get periods during the year where things slow down, so I can take things a bit easier. I'm not working 24/7. But then I can come on to these podcasts and talk about all the latest gaming news. So I can dive into everything that's happening, Xbox in general, PlayStation even. The industry doesn't stop. It doesn't slow down.
Nope.
And I think that's what makes these podcasts so great is, every week there's something new, fresh, exciting to talk about. And it's great. It's great. It's always an honor to do. It's always an honor to do Breakfast with Boom. It's always an honor to do Crossfire every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's the right time.
Yeah, great plug. Appreciate the plug.
Yeah, so look out for that. And over on the fullthrottlemedia.co.uk website, also got stories on the Fortune Island expansion coming next month to Horizon 4. Big update coming out. If you got the Ultimate Edition, you don't need to pay anything extra for this expansion. You'll get it for free. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the website. A lot of stuff about what's coming in the future to Forza Motorsport 7, what's coming to Horizon 4. I got interviews with Aaron Greenberg, Ralph Fulton, all kinds of content on there that you can check out and enjoy today.
Nice. Well, listen, everyone should go and check that out. UK Dazarus is going to drop it into the chat. And by the way, UK Dazarus sends out a challenge to you. He hasn't raced you as of yet, Alan.
Oh,
and I think he wants to do that. So I'm big public shout out to UK Dazarus, the moderator of the universe, Sheriff, with the with 6 bullets loaded in the gun, ready to take out any scumbag that ruins the chat. So thank you for that, UK Daz. I want to go to Clowns. Listen, dude, we have become more than friends. We are brothers. You are one of the most welcoming people on Twitter. I love what you guys do with 4 Guys with Quarters. The fact that you have all of these industry connections. We've talked privately, and you've sent me in directions that I would have never had if you wouldn't have been so kind. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, listen to you, and of course, subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Every Thursday, Inferno's been doing 4 Guys with Quarters around 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We got a new thing coming up with 4 Guys with Quarters. 4 Guys with Quarters presents. I'm gonna be running that, and it's gonna be pre-recorded. If it picks up, then we'll go live with it. But
Nice.
I'll be producing that and getting guests on for that. And you can always check us out on Spotify and any other type of media where you get podcasts from these days.
Nice. Well, listen, it's a great show. I'm really interested to see what you're going to be doing with the 4 Guys Presents. I would love to possibly show up there as a guest one day. That would be fantastic. And last, but certainly not least, Enrique. Listen, dude, finally, the stars aligned. The rainbows came together, and here you are on the show, because we know we've been trying to get on each other's shows. I was on a couple of weeks ago, had an absolute blast. When you said you can do it, I was literally tickled pink. Because for Boom, it's unicorns and rainbows all day long. Everyone knows that. But having you on the show was amazing. You bring a real sense of style to your shows. You're very honest. You don't really entertain the fanboy nonsense, because you know what? At the end of the day, you're a fan of gaming. I think that's what the fans respect. It's certainly what I respect of you, and I really enjoy your work. Please tell everyone where they could follow, listen, and subscribe.
Well, Boom, thanks for the kind words, man. I appreciate it, and thanks for putting up with my raspy voice that I've been battling a cold for the last week. It's been a nightmare, but no, I appreciate it, man. Always a pleasure coming on, and great panel today. And yeah, we had a blast 2 weeks ago, man. That was a great show with you and Xbot 448.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a blast. So yeah, we Basement Radio Arcade Podcast goes live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and you look up Basement Radio Arcade, you'll find us. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter, you can. My Twitter handle's at BRAP_podcast. So come out, hang out with us, check us out. We had a great show this past week, this week on Wednesday. We had Lord King from the ILP, and
he's great. He's great. He should be doing stand up, that dude.
He should. I told him he needs to take over Major Nelson's job. He's wonderful. He's great. So definitely check us out. And again, appreciate the invite, Boom, and love what you're doing, man. Keep up the great work.
I definitely appreciate all the kind words, my friend. Thank you so much. Well, listen, that's going to do it for today's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I want to say thanks again to the chat. Thanks again to my panel. And everyone have a fantastic and safe weekend. If you're going to be doing any more partying, I have to do my Popo impression. And please don't drink and drive. It does ruin families' lives, including your own. So don't do that. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, everyone.